It's WFUV New York, public media from Fordham University. Come for the music, stay for the community. Listen at 90.7 FM or at WFUV.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Travis Hayden. This is One On One, New York's longest-running sports call-in show. Today, I am joined by Emma Leonardi and Tucker Austin. We have Kurt Sipple behind the booth as our producer, and Grace McCarran working with the graphics today, and Bobby Chaffardini is our sports director. Emma, Tucker, how we doing on this lovely Saturday afternoon?
You want to go first?
Yeah, you want me to go? Sure.
Sure.
I'm doing pretty well so far, you know. I mean, it was a pretty early morning because I had to drive in this morning from about an hour or so, an hour and change away. But, I mean,
Felt that one on that.
That drive was so much better today, just without all of the bridge traffic. Like, anytime I get to flow through the George Washington Bridge corridor in New Jersey, it's always a good day. Puts a smile on my face when I don't have to sit there and stop and go traffic.
That really is beautiful. Yeah, I can't lie. I'm a little like low energy start this morning. I chugged a coffee, so hopefully it will be good.
It'll kick in.
It'll kick in.
10, 15
It'll
minutes.
kick in. We'll start talking sports. I'll get hyped. It'll be great. But I had a late night coming home from the Mets game reporting last night. But it was, it was great. Even if it was a loss, it was great.
Emma is exhausted, but she's blessing us with her presence. We'll talk about the Mets later. We get to hear about her experience covering that game. We get to hear about the Yankees. We get to talk about the World Cup. We get to talk about the NBA. We get to talk about the Knicks, everybody's favorite topic in the world, it seems like. And we get to talk just all about sports in general. We have a draft coming up later, which should be very exciting. And for anybody looking to call in, the phone number is 718-817-2750. I'm going to repeat that again, 718-817-2750. And Tucker, you said there wasn't as much traffic to get here today. I felt the same way. Well, we're coming from opposite directions, but the fact that...
Yeah. You spend any time on the Merritt Parkway today?
No, I avoid the Merritt Parkway as much as I can.
Anyone from Connecticut knows.
I avoid it at all costs. You never know what's going to happen on there.
I've spent a fair share of time on that roadway, and it is not a fun experience.
See, I feel like I can beat you both with my travel stories. I got up from my apartment right across from campus, and I walked over here in 2 minutes. So, wow, what a long journey for me this morning.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Hey, honestly, you know what though? What time did you get back from Citi Field last night though?
See, I got home. I want to say I got home around like 12:15.
Yeah.
But I hadn't had a lot to eat, so I had to like make food and then eat it and then get to bed. It was like
so. Emma still had to come from Queens to get back to her place to go back to her apartment so she could come here.
Yes.
And everybody made it here for...
Had to get on the 7 train.
Had to get on the 7 train.
Yeah.
Which,
Yankee fans know that train is not nearly as good as the D train, the B train, or the 4 train.
Stop.
Or the Metro North.
Literally stop. I love the 7. And it's my favorite color, purple. And that's the 7, is purple. So, I just love the 7. And it takes me to a great place.
Citi Field.
Citi, maybe not a great place right now, but a great place in general.
The palace of general despair and misfortune is in the Meadowlands. It's at MetLife Stadium, at least before this World Cup, because now that stadium is filled with unbridled joy. Left and right.
Yes.
No one is thinking about the Giants or Jets right now.
MetLife Stadium?
Yes.
You mean New York, New Jersey Stadium?
The New York, New Jersey Stadium.
We have a different name for it now, Tucker.
I was hoping that this would come up because I myself do not work for FIFA. I also am not a huge fan of upper admin at FIFA, as I think many football, soccer fans would agree with me that upper admin at FIFA is, some would say it's corrupt. I won't say it's corrupt here, but there have been some questionable decisions regarding who gets to host the World Cup when. And so for me personally, I also found the naming of that stadium to be a personal attack against the state of New Jersey. And so
I knew that was coming.
For that reason, I refuse to refer to that stadium by the name that FIFA has chosen for it, and will continue to refer to it as MetLife through the duration of the World Cup.
So we're going to support the mega corporation and not the land of the
I'll-
people.
I will
love to hear
take
it, Tucker.
because guess what?
Love to hear it.
That stadium is not in New York, and nowhere on any part of the facade should it say New York.
Okay, but in defense to like international fans, who is really gonna know where New Jersey is?
They were going to know. They were going to find out when they came to this World Cup.
Emma, come
At
on.
New Jersey
They
Stadium,
are
they were
in
going to
New
see the
Jersey.
World Cup final in 2026, and people,
it's-
it was going to put us on the
it's-
global map.
It's
But instead, New York gets to
Nobody-
take all the glory again. Just like all the tolls for the George Washington Bridge are only on the New Jersey side. No one ever pays to go into New
Well,
Jersey.
to be fair though, every time
because
you
nobody
exit,
wants to go into New Jersey.
Yeah,
that
but
bad
they
that
have
they
to
wanna
for the
pay
World
for
Cup.
it.
Yeah, but every
they
time
have
you
to
get
for
off
the
an
World Cup,
exit
and that's
in
the
New
whole
Jersey,
point.
Tucker, you have to pay a fine. That's the one part I will give you guys, or I don't want to give you guys credit for. And why maybe it deserves to be New York, New Jersey Stadium is why is it every time I exit off of the highway I have to pay a fine to go somewhere?
It's
Why
just
can't I pump my own gas?
Just avoid the Parkway.
yeah. You really can't. You really can't pump your own gas. Like, come on.
Who wants to do that? I'd
It's
rather
a
sit
life
in my.
skill.
I would rather sit in my car and continue listening to my music or like go on my
Everywhere
phone.
else, you have to pump your own gas. The
And-
life skill.
And you know what? I'll do it when I have to. But as long as I'm at home, I'm
No.
gonna somebody's gonna pump my gas and I'm gonna sit in my car. He's gonna give me my card back and my receipt, and I'm gonna go drive on my way. And didn't even have to get out of the car.
I'm loving this defense.
It's
of
called
your country,
convenience.
New Jersey. No, but it is like, I'm not gonna like defend FIFA, but it is more palatable for international fans to be like, oh, the New York, New Jersey Stadium, because more people are gonna know where New York is because of New York City.
But people already know where New York is, so it's not a problem.
no, that's
no
what
one
I'm
needs
saying.
no one needs to figure out where New York is
That's-
because
no,
it's been
That's what I'm
already in the
saying.
global
That's
consciousness.
what I'm saying. If international
New Jersey
fans,
is not nearly as much as in the global
if
consciousness.
international fans are just going online buying tickets for their team, and it happens to be at the New York, New Jersey Stadium, they're more likely to know where it is in general if New York is attached to it. And that's just a fact.
Where to fly
So
out
that's
from.
what I'm saying. I'm not saying like this is promotional material for the state of New York or New York City.
But it is.
No, it's not.
No, because their name came first.
No, it's more of like a
At the bare
so that you
minimum,
can,
could it
like-
not have been New Jersey, New York Stadium?
Who wants New Jersey first?
It's where it is. It's physically in New Jersey. I really don't know how it's so. How is it so difficult for people who aren't from New Jersey to understand that this is a heinous crime against our state's identity? Yes, we're like heavily. I wouldn't say dependent, but we definitely we pump a lot of money into both Philadelphia and New York out of New Jersey. And a lot of what goes on in the state also has to do with what is going on in either New York City or Philadelphia.
Tucker's patriotism for New Jersey is
I know
firing me up
your
right
country of New Jersey.
We need to stand up for ourselves.
Ourselves, don't include me in this.
Ourselves, collective New Jerseyan selves. You guys are the ones who are trying to put us down and make us feel like we're not ourselves. We are New Jersey,
I don't even want to hear.
and
your
we are
complaints.
not New York.
I don't even want to hear your complaints because I'm from taxation without representation, DC. So I don't even want to hear your complaints.
Well, I mean, what do you want? That city's like what, 20 square miles? One?
Do you know
forget how big it is.
Do you know how many people live in DC?
No,
versus
okay. Actually,
in
this
places
is
in New
funny. It's also
Jersey?
connected to the World Cup. I saw an interview with a guy in Seattle, one of the Bosnian fans who was up there. And that I think that stadium is called it's Seattle Stadium, right? That's what it's going by right now, Lumen Field.
Let me look it
It's
up.
either Seattle or Washington Stadium, and if it's Washington Stadium, I think that's why there was confusion because the reporter was asking what did you think of
it's Seattle Stadium.
Okay, he's like, what did you think of Seattle Stadium here in Washington? And he was like, yeah, it's not very close to Virginia. I was like, oh, you thought it was that Washington.
Well,
I'm
that's
so sorry.
That's probably why they named it Seattle Stadium instead of Washington Stadium.
Yeah,
But at the same time, people will look and see it's in Seattle, Washington, and then suddenly they're like, oh, okay, so Washington, clearly that's near, Washington. What most people think of when they think, people outside the country when they think of Washington.
So you're on board with this, but you're not on board with the New York, New Jersey.
No.
name.
Well, for
Because
the Seattle,
it's not like Seattle. No, what would it be? If it was like a stadium on the border of Washington and Oregon, it's not Washington Oregon Stadium. Like what? Come on.
Because. Okay, I guess that's a fair point.
I get they wouldn't go East Rutherford Stadium because
I think that they were.
it's
I think
East
that they
Rutherford,
were
that's
going
fair.
for like clearest name. I don't think it's necessarily their fault that people don't know that like Seattle, Washington is like Washington the state. But I will say like I will defend the people who don't know where New Jersey is.
I
because
still
why
just
would you
don't.
need
I
to
just
know
don't
that if
understand.
you
Why
don't
couldn't
live
it
in
just
the
be the New
US?
Jersey Stadium that is close to New York, and like New York is the city where people go to
Because that's too long
when
of
they
a name.
come to New Jersey.
Because that's too long of a name.
It-
So New York,
New Jersey Stadium is too long of a name, but New York, New Jersey is fine.
No. You were saying New Jersey that's close to New York.
No, that wouldn't be the
Stadium.
name of the stadium. That would
I
just
was
be the
making a joke.
be the
I was
be the
making
collective
a joke.
idea that it's close to New York. Like, I just don't get it. I don't get why New Jersey wasn't good enough for you people. Why weren't we good enough?
I also just think it'll attract more crowds if New York's in the name because people will stay in New
It
York
would.
City.
That's my thing. It
Oh,
would attract
people
crowds
are
anyway.
flying. People have to learn where to fly out to. Like I don't know.
Cool. Fly to
Uh,
Newark.
I knew you were
Nobody
gonna say
wants
that.
Stay
to
in New
stay
Jersey.
Nobody wants to stay in New Jersey.
Why would anyone want to stay like in New York City? Stay in New
Because it's
Jersey
a
and go
tourist
to New York
thing.
City.
It's a-
Because they're.
Do you have any idea how much more money you would spend trying to find a place in New York City to stay rather
Yes,
than
I
finding
do
a spot
know.
in the countryside
I
in New
th-
Jersey?
I do know, but you know how much
That's nice
more
and quiet,
how
then you
much more
drive out,
things that you can do
take a
in
train.
New York City if you're traveling.
Yeah,
Like you're
take a
not
train.
just going to
They
the
don't
World
want to
Cup.
go to New Jersey.
They also
want,
just don't want to go to New Jersey, which
They want-
I can't blame
They
them.
want to go to the football game at MetLife Stadium. They want to watch at New York, New Jersey Stadium. They want to take the train back to the city. They want to go on the little Taylor Swift carriage rides, and they want to listen. Welcome to New York. It's been waiting for you through New York City. That's what
That's
the
what they
people
want.
All
That's
that
what the
being
people
said,
want.
I have a serious problem with the name, but I can really appreciate the facelift they gave MetLife Stadium for this World Cup. It looks gorgeous out of nowhere. This stadium literally just made you sad when you would drive past it before, or like walking in, it just made you really sad looking at the facade. But whatever they did to it, I think they threw up like a bunch of a white paneling instead of the usual like steel gray they have around the whole stadium. They took away all of the ads, so it's basically just World Cup stuff all around the stadium. It's packed with fans wearing the most like colorful shirts and jerseys
Wow.
that you've ever seen.
I'm looking at pictures right now.
MetLife
Wow.
has been getting praise on social media from foreign fans, the likes of which I've never seen. I my entire life I have only seen people dogging on MetLife
And
Stadium.
you know what they're probably going to
I
call
can't
it?
believe the praise it's getting from the international
You know what
community.
they're probably going to call it? The
New York, New Jersey
Stadium.
Stadium. Oh, that is exactly
just-
what the problem is.
I'm rage baiting
If
a
New
little
Jersey
bit,
gets
but-
dropped in the history of this thing over time, I'm gonna have a serious problem. Whatever it is, I'm gonna have a serious problem.
I will say this: we talked about MetLife Stadium, and they took out the field as well, and they took out the turf, and
that grass better stay.
apparently it's being replaced back to the
Back to turf.
when football's coming back. So
It's not
all
ridiculous. It's impossible
So-
to maintain grass
Well,
like that
Tucker-
for the full
Tucker,
season,
you'll be happy to
especially in
know.
the fall.
You'll be happy to know that when you look up just New Jersey Stadium, only MetLife comes up. But if you look up New York Stadium, it has like MetLife, Yankee, like Citi Field, like it has like a bunch of them.
I feel like
So-
Tucker wouldn't like that though, because that just means it's still throwing MetLife into a New York category
Well,
when
yeah,
it's in New
two
Jersey.
New York football franchises play
Yeah.
there.
So I feel like it does deserve to be in the New York category,
Yeah.
which is probably why they. Honestly, that's probably actually why they added the name, not even just for like familiarity purposes, like geographically, but probably because
I
of
think
the,
it's a little. It's
the
probably
football
more than
teams.
likely it's a little bit of both.
probably.
So that's gonna do it for our little discussion at the beginning of the show. Thank you so much, Tucker, for that little breakdown on the New Jersey Stadium.
You mean the New
We're
York
from
Stadium?
Jersey and you're not.
You mean the New York Stadium?
New Jersey Stadium. We're gonna take it to a break, and we'll be right back with NBA free agency and the draft. When we come back.
I'm Kurt Sipple, telling you to tune into One On One, New York's longest-running sports call-in show. Catch us live every Saturday on our WFUV Sports YouTube Live from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and later on 90.7 WFUV from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. We break down the week's latest headlines with our collection of tri-state area beat reporters, along with interviews with your favorite athletes and media personalities. WFUV is your home to talk all things New York sports.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back here at One on One. I'm Travis Hayden, joined by Emma Leonardi and Tucker Austin, Kurt Sipple and Grace McCarron working behind the glass for us today. If you would like to call in, 718-817-2750. If you'd like to call in, 718-817-2750. Guys, NBA free agency just happened. We just had the NBA draft. Teams have been shifted up. A lot of big moves going on. Giannis to the Heat, LaMelo Ball to the Timberwolves. What's been like everybody's thoughts so far on NBA free agency?
Well, goodness gracious, the East is loading up. They are trying to figure out some way to get by the New York Knicks. And it's very, very obvious. The Celtics made a big push for Giannis and reportedly offered Jaylen Brown in a large package, but the Heat wound up winning the Giannis sweepstakes, which... unbelievable.
As an honorary Heat fan, because
honorary.
Yes. Oh, I'm gonna tell this story again. I feel like I tell this story every single time I'm on one-on-one because I always make some way for it to come up. But basically, I met LeBron as a child. I lived in Miami from ages 5 to 10, and I was a big Heat fan because during that period of time, it was the Bron time. It was the Bron times. Bron, Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade. Come on. You can't not be a Heat fan if you lived in Miami at the time. I wouldn't say I'm a Heat fan anymore because after I moved, Bron also moved, and then I also got out of basketball, and now that I'm getting back into it, it just doesn't feel right.
Now you have to be a Wizards fan. Good luck with that.
I don't claim that. I supported the Knicks. I supported the Knicks this season.
Enough.
So that's the team I've chosen.
That wasn't a bad move because I'll tell you, so many people jumped on the Knicks bus at the same time that I feel like it got kind of lost in the mob.
Yeah.
Initially, I feel like I would say true Knicks fans, or I guess longtime Knicks fans, were kind of trying to gatekeep it a little bit.
Yeah.
And be like, oh, you guys are bandwagon, whatever. But it gained so much momentum at that point that it was just nobody cares anymore.
Also,
we're all just here to enjoy the Knicks.
Once the Knicks won, nobody cared. I was with my friend who has lived in New York his entire life and has been a Knicks fan, and he was like, after the Knicks won, we were all out together, and he was like, I don't care where you're from, who you're a fan of, where you currently live. You're a Knicks fan because you were in New York when they won. And and that was a strong statement, but it made me feel very welcomed and wow, aw. It also just is such a cultural moment. But anyway, back to the Heat. As an honorary Heat fan, because again, I'm not watching the Heat now because I have no connection really to them anymore, other than that brief period of my life. But it's great to see them, get this. And I hope that, I hope their future is bright and that it's successful.
So it seems like almost for years now we've heard Pat Riley at the end of a season or midway through a season being like, we're going to trade for that superstar player. It's coming. It seems like he's been egging on his fan base for years now at this point. That this trade might have been coming, and finally he makes the big splash. They land Giannis Antetokounmpo. And something that's very funny about this is the package they gave up. They gave up that huge package to get him, which is a very similar offer to the one a couple years back that they Miami Heat wanted to give out to get Damian Lillard to come play with Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
And
maybe not that many picks. I'd feel like that Damian Lillard would not have...
Not as many picks, but it included Tyler Hero was included in the package, a couple of the role players.
Yeah.
But the thing is, who ended up getting Damian Lillard out of that package? Milwaukee. So it's kind of a full circle moment.
And then Damian Lillard went back to Portland before Giannis even got traded, and then they traded Giannis.
Exactly.
And I think they talked about this last week on One On One. It was either last week on One On One or on the last Pick and Pod, but all of the players from that Bucks championship team in 2021 are now gone. None of them are still in Milwaukee.
Really?
And we are 5 years removed from that championship. That is I feel like we got to someone's got to look at management
That
over in
doesn't
Milwaukee.
really happen that often.
No, it doesn't, and their whole team is
It's a
gone
really
now.
short period of time.
And they didn't even really like get that much done, even in the immediate aftermath of that
Yeah.
finals.
So-
they didn't really go back. Well, they didn't go back to the finals. They didn't really make that much noise in the Eastern playoffs, all the way up until Giannis was traded. And now it kind of feels like they have nowhere to go because now that Giannis is gone, Tyler Hero steps in, and he is pretty much your 1A scorer in Milwaukee,
Yeah.
at least for the foreseeable future, until they got to make some kind of move to help him out, unless the Milwaukee Bucks are just the early candidates for tanking in the 26-27 season.
I think that's the point where it has to go to, especially giving up a player like this. And also, it's got to sting because the 2022-2023 season, Milwaukee was the number 1 seed heading into the Eastern Conference playoffs, and they lose to an 8th seed team in the Miami Heat.
Yep.
And they lost one of Giannis's MVP years. They lost to the Miami Heat.
And to be fair to them, the Heat did go to the finals that year.
Both years I'm
Yeah.
mentioning they did also. But then also, when you look back at that, the misorganization of that Bucks team, I start to think, was that Bucks team ever really that good to begin with? And what I like to look at is that year they won the championship. If you were to go back and you're to look at all the, like, just kind of how that year was and what played out in that year, and the conference finals itself, you had Trae Young and the Hawks, you had the Bucks,
Oh, yeah.
you had the Suns, and you had the Clippers.
Yeah. And that was a weird year. That was the year.
lockout year.
It was immediately after the bubble when those teams that went to the bubble had a unique experience of, like, kind of I've seen it called basketball in its purest form, and I don't think that people are wrong to call it that, because these guys weren't traveling. They were getting days' worth of rest between their games where they didn't have to go anywhere. And so it was just probably the peak form that we will ever see players in on a game-to-game basis. But it was also an incredibly, like, tiring and taxing experience because it ran late. It had to run later because they couldn't get the season going again. So those teams that played deep into the bubble they did not have as long of an off season as they usually would have, and especially not as long as teams that wound up going deeper, like the Hawks, like the Bucks, like the Suns, and the Clippers.
And that's the point I wanted to also make, because there's one thing that confirms this kind of question right there, this thing for me, and it's the fact that all 4 of those teams that made it the year of the bubble, 3 years later, after the league kind of reset,
Yeah.
they all made it back.
Mm-hmm.
The Nuggets were in the conference championship against the Lakers again, and the Celtics were in the conference championship against the Heat. All of those teams ended up making back. Those Bucks teams, those Clippers teams, the Hawks team, and I can't remember. Oh, the Suns. They never ended up even getting close to making it back to the dance. Well, the obviously different Nuggets went to the finals to beat the Heat instead. So you kind of look at that championship and you think, maybe Milwaukee's was. They always called the Lakers the Mickey Mouse ring.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Bucks one, if you look at it more, looked like to be the Mickey Mouse ring. And now Giannis is now traded to a team that historically has playoff success over against him. How often do we see that happen, where one of the teams, a player gets traded to his team's kryptonite?
Not very.
Kevin Durant.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just
the Miami Heat have been the kryptonite to Giannis Antetokounmpo in the playoffs, and now he's on the Miami Heat, and with the Eric Spoelstra, Pat Riley, that's going to be really exciting.
And to be honest, I feel like Giannis definitely had a large influence on the Bucks organization, probably full stop, but also specifically in terms of where he was going to wind up at the end of this trade. It wasn't just like, Giannis requests a trade and then Milwaukee kind of shops it out and tries to find like a favorable trade for them. That was not the case. Giannis gave Milwaukee everything and more in the time that he was there, so I think it was only deserving that he kind of a little bit got to choose where he winds up.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't choose South Beach?
Who wouldn't choose?
A lot of players have chosen the Miami Heat as like a location maybe to end their careers, just because it is nice down there. I mean, you see the same thing across sports. The Florida
State.
Panthers usually they've been pulling in a lot of players both with success of their team and with location. And I think it's the same thing for the Heat. They've had a successful past and are still they're still coached by Eric Spoelstra, who has a lot of winning experience, and they're still managed by Pat Riley, who himself also has a lot of winning experience. It's a winning organization.
Yeah.
They just haven't had the pieces to make it happen and get fully over the hump. Like we've been talking about, the Heat have been in the playoffs consistently, whether it be through the play-in or through actually making the playoffs, and they usually win a series, maybe two, or actually make a run to the finals. So I love this for Giannis.
Yeah.
It's going to be weird until they find, and I think they'll find this before the season starts, but they're going to need somebody to score the basketball that isn't their two bigs.
Yeah.
They're going to be running a front court of Bam and Giannis on the floor at the same time, but Tyler Hero and Jaime Jaquez Jr. are both gone to Milwaukee in this trade. So after that, it's kind of hard to find like someone who could really help him out in terms of spacing the floor. You think of guys who used to be on the Heat but have like since been traded or moved on. Duncan Robinson would have been an awesome player to have on that team. Caleb Martin probably would have spaced the floor pretty well for them as well.
Gabe Vincent in there.
Yeah.
But,
So, yes,
but-
Gabe Vincent, absolutely. But
but
all
Tucker-
of those guys are gone.
But that's the thing with a guy like Eric Spoelstra. He looks at like a roster sheet and it's like, oh, what am I gonna make out of this guy?
Like,
Oh,
yeah,
here's
true.
here's your second word. Like that is what that is Heat culture. Like these guys, they come in. Maybe on like a 10 day, like they're not expecting much. They get a little more than they think they could have. A little more opportunities come in the way. You start to see them balling. You start to see them go from maybe a 4 points per game to maybe a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You see it expand, and then Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra, they slip on one of these guys in the point guard role, just pass the ball to Giannis a little bit. And the guy makes himself into a star, and then he goes and signs with another team for a couple $100 million, and the cycle repeats. And Eric Spoelstra, I think he wants to start like Giannis in there. He wants his guy like Bam, where he could have the 83. And he's kind of I know, I still can't believe it happened either.
But that's got to be a bit. Like I know it's funny to like go back and reference the 83, and I see it all over social media. But like we got to also come back down to earth a little bit and realize that Bam is not good for 83 on a night in night out
not in
basis.
a night.
He's good for probably like somewhere in the 30s usually when he's playing well. And now with Giannis on the floor, I think it'll open up for him a little bit more because like between the two of them, you're gonna try and double team Giannis before you double team Bam. So it's going to leave him open more often.
And then Bam's going to go to the line.
I don't know if we have 80 in the tank again.
I
don't know if we ever see that out of Bam again.
I don't think we see 80 out of Bam again. But what I do think we see is a good – sorry for cutting you off, Emma.
Yeah, you're
We
good.
see a Miami Heat team with a bunch of guys who we don't know, Giannis and Bam, and I see we make them kind of make a strong run. And the point guard question, that's the only person who can answer. There's only two people that can answer that right now. That's Eric Spoelstra, and that is Pat Riley. And they will answer that question, and we will know by January whether it was the correct option or not. And back to what you were saying.
I just feel like, I don't know, I feel like you can't, and this isn't, I personally think this is the case in any sport. You can't really, unless it's a like individual sport, you can't hinge like your performance on one or two players. So I feel like they like 100% have to have the like backup and the support and the base for like these two players to really shine. And like not saying that they aren't going to shine on their own, and like even if like that base is not like fully there or fully constructed, but like you see it again. I'm going to reference my time in Miami. Like you see with the LeBron era, like not saying that he's not great. I love my Bron, but like he had such a good base of people to support him, and like that's truly why they were so successful, is like not like just because of him, but also because of like the rest of the players on that team. And so I again, like I think that you can still do well even if like you're relying on your one or two stars, but I do think that you need that base to really like solidify.
My big issue is like I guess if they do decide to just ride with Bam, Giannis, and a whole slew of like quote unquote nameless role players,
Fun. Get like a guess who's game.
they could go like That's what's so interesting about Bam and Giannis is because that combination is going to be really, really deadly, but I feel like it's still, like, a first-round exit is still possible for that team.
Yeah, because
It's just not it's not nearly built up enough, and my biggest issue for the Heat is, like, you got Giannis, you went out and got the big fish in the not in free agency, but you got the big fish in the offseason this year. That's got to flip the switch to win now. It has to be win now. You cannot waste time of Giannis's prime by just doing nothing and waiting for more, like, or waiting for guys who haven't proven themselves to prove themselves, or waiting for the team to kind of coalesce on its own. They need support now, and I don't know what they're going to use to go get it, because they traded away, what was it, 5 picks in this deal. They traded away their first-rounder from this year to Milwaukee, a first-round pick swap in 2030, first-rounders in 31 and 33, and a second-rounder in 33. This year in the draft, they traded that first-round pick I already mentioned. They also had a previous trade that sent their second-round pick to Oklahoma City. So they got no new players from the draft this year. No new players, and meanwhile you're trying to build a team around Giannis and Bam. And you're out 4 first-round picks from this trade. Assumedly, they still have their firsts from 27, 28, and 29, unless there was another deal that they lost one of those. But I don't even know if they have the draft capital to go out and get it, because they just moved a majority of the, like, worthwhile players that were left on their team for Giannis.
Yeah.
Where do you even go from here?
I mean, I really think that, like, the players who, like, are still there just need to, like, step up, because as you go back to, like you said, like, the combination of
The Heat did get Bobby Portis. That's that's the sweetener.
you say, like, the combination of Giannis and Bam is like deadly combination. What happens when one of them gets injured? Like,
what happens when
you
Giannis
can't-
gets injured? Because it likely won't be Bam. If you had to look at the two of them, like, just based on history,
Like,
Giannis is
so-
more likely to get injured.
And so you, like, that's why you have to have that base. You have to have other players that are, like, going to support them if, like, one of them happens to, like, not be able to play. And, like, also if both of them are playing, because that's just going to make you better. So I really am firm on the, like, you can't rely on one or two people.
Emma, I love the points you're actually bringing up about, like, the not relying on one or two people, like, that you do need the championship team, and the Giannis's injury question. That is, I think, going to be the biggest, like, question mark about this. But the one thing I'm just going to argue about it, why I think, like, it could be successful in this scenario, in this specific scenario, and that's just mostly because of the guy in charge. And that is Eric Spoelstra at the helm. I feel like if it was, let's say, like, this is like a situation like we saw with Giannis in Milwaukee, and it's like if this was like Doc Rivers in charge of this team, and it's like, Bam, hey, Bam, Giannis, you guys are gonna have to go carry the load while everybody else just off to the side. I would think, oh, this is a terrible, terrible situation for a team to be in.
Yeah.
No help, awful. But I feel like Spoelstra's the one guy that can, like, unlock something like a point guard. You have a second-round point guard that was hardly drafted or maybe even undrafted. Hey, this is your moment, kid. Go. I feel like Spoelstra's the one guy that could drag the talent out of a talent like that. Maybe the guy doesn't even see is there.
Yeah.
I feel like Spoelstra's the one person who can really, like, drag those role players, like, and turn them into stars. So I think the Heat have a little bit less to be concerned about than outside of having a big Giannis injury. That's the one thing I'll give you credit on where you are. I'll say
I don't disagree with you. I just always tend to look at the worst case scenario in these types of situations, and, like, yeah. And I just still stand firm on the, like, you can't just, like, rely on one or two players. But, like, you're right. Yeah. Like, I feel like it's not, like, hopeless at all. Like, I was not trying to make it seem hopeless.
It's certainly not hopeless. I'm just trying to, like,
I'm
trying to take the temperature of what I think this team is going to do. And for me, like I said earlier, if things go the wrong way, it could be a first-round exit.
Yeah.
But that being said, I think they should be able to make the playoffs as long as both Giannis and Bam stay healthy. But again, like you've been saying, the entire success of the team is hinged on both of them being on the floor at the same time.
Yeah.
I think they can make the playoffs. I think they could probably win a first-round series against one of the lower-end teams in the East. But you're looking at the defending champion New York Knicks in the Eastern Conference. You're looking at the Boston Celtics, who, after this offseason, might not have Jaylen Brown anymore, but they might have somebody better to go with Jason Tatum. We're not really sure who that might be yet now that Giannis is off the table, but they're still shopping Jaylen Brown, which, I mean, you know, it's been argued before, and I think at this point I'm like okay with saying that Jason Tatum is the guy that you want to keep around there. But if you were talking to me a year ago, I would have been like they should shop Jason Tatum for Giannis Antetokounmpo and hold on to Jaylen Brown. It is shocking to me that Jason Tatum makes more money than Jaylen Brown. I've never understood that. Jaylen Brown to me seems more consistent. He seems like just the better, like, he feels like he has a higher ceiling for me. So they want to hold on to Jason Tatum because he's like definitely the fan favorite between the two of them. But I think Jaylen Brown just has I think he just has more consistency. Like Jason Tatum might have a deeper bag, but it's not always there. He'll lay an egg sometimes. Jaylen Brown rarely, if ever, lays an egg, especially when they need it most.
Yeah.
But elsewhere in the Cavs should be back and better. The Pistons will definitely get better because they're keeping most of their young core together that has more experience from this season. Now they didn't even have a bad regular season. So, and then you look just basing off the draft. AJ Debance goes first overall to the Wizards, who now have Debance, Trae Young, and Anthony Davis. That's a problem. The Wizards might be a problem next year, and people really need to start realizing that Washington could actually give teams issues in the Eastern Conference. I think they'll make the playoffs.
Yeah, but you know why that's a waste? This is coming from somebody who lives in D.C. Is because nobody's a Wizards fan.
I have a Bradley
Debance
Beal
is going to
jersey.
make them Wizards fans.
I have a Bradley Beal jersey. That's not true. People are Wizards.
Shout out Bradley Beal, man. Shout out John Wall.
I quite literally. I mean, okay, yeah, there definitely are Wizards fans, and I'm definitely if I definitely know Wizards fans.
Now, do you think it's because they're just not good? Do you think if DC had a rockin' basketball team?
I mean, we could definitely talk about this. It is a more broader sports conversation, though. I feel like DC, the two main sports are hockey and baseball.
I was gonna say it probably goes hockey, it probably goes football, hockey, baseball,
hockey's
or
first.
maybe
100%
hockey's first.
100%.
Huh. I mean, I get
100%.
Based on recently, yes, because of the whole Ovechkin run. Absolutely.
I think it's hockey, football, baseball. I'll give you that.
But when the Nats won the World Series.
Baseball. Yeah. So maybe I'm right. I live there.
I think you're
100%.
I think you're 100% right about the basketball situation because
basketball
they haven't won since I think it was the Washington Bullets in the 60s.
Yeah, they won in the 70s, and I think if the Wizards were better, they would be a much bigger basketball town.
Oh, for sure.
Because when John Wall was in his prime, and you live there, so I can't really.
Okay, yeah, I was like,
no, the John Wall experience.
When John Wall
different.
was in his prime and stuff, and the things I've read about it and seen, for the culture of John Wall and stuff like that, and Bradley Beal, that it seems like DC really got behind John Wall and Bradley Beal, do the John Wall, that was a whole entire thing.
John Wall was so much fun to watch.
So I feel like that was I feel like if they were good, they've been in the depths of the league for quite a while.
They got behind the Wall Beal experience and then did not get a return on investment for that because the both of them were injured a lot. Bradley Beal basically robbed teams blind for his entire career.
Yeah.
They just didn't do anything. But if they get behind this team, I think they can go places.
I don't disagree that it could become a big basketball community, but it would have to be really special.
So I'm think about all the college basketball in
DC.
In DC, I mean, Georgetown's right around there. Huge basketball culture. Within the A10. Yeah. George Washington pulls pretty decently in terms of their fan base. They get a lot of people packed in there, even for games against Fordham. When I've been there calling games, it's been there's been more people in there than at the Rose Hill Gym recently. So
yes. I
think there's an untapped potential in DC when it comes to basketball, and now with AJ Debance, I think the Wizards might have a chance to find something real there.
It would just have to be really special to overcome because whenever I think of Capital One Arena, I think of the Caps. It would just have to be really special to overcome that big hockey fan base to make it like, I'm not saying like it couldn't still be a popular sport and not be the most popular sport in DC, but
They play in the same building. I think the hockey guys could probably bring fans to basketball. Like, you know, like
I think they could.
for teams that share arenas, they've had players from both teams kind of go to each other's games.
It's just like funny
you
to
get
me
that kind of
because
cross-sport support.
it's just funny to me because I feel like the Caps and the Nats have so much more cross-team support than like
Mm-hmm.
the Caps do with like any other there will be Wizards players who like come to Caps games. There will be Mystics players come to Caps games a lot. Same with like them going to Nats games, but I feel like the partnership between like the Nats and the Caps is so strong that's why that makes like those two more popular than the other two. I think is because of like the
To summarize
intersection.
real quick before we move on, the East has already made way more moves than the Western Conference in terms of trying to get better, and I think it's because of the Knicks. Like last year, the West clearly better than the East for the most part,
until the finals.
the exception of the Knicks. Like, and even so, I think if the Thunder went to the finals, I don't know if the Knicks would have been able to get by Oklahoma City, but I think they were able to manhandle the Spurs, and I think they probably like the Thunder. If it was Thunder Knicks, I think it would have gone 7, and maybe the Knicks still win. But I think definitely because it was the Spurs, they had a much easier go of it.
Yeah.
And so far, the East has been loading up as opposed to the West, which a lot less has happened out West in terms of switching teams. There's been some guys signed to extensions, and you mentioned the LaMelo Ball trade, which should make Minnesota a little bit better. But for the most part, the West is kind of like still set.
Yeah, so that was actually a part of the thing I was going to ask is about who do you think, obviously it seems like everybody's got AJ fever, especially down in D.C., very excited to see about the future of the Washington Wizards. Really exciting for the first time in what feels like since the John Wall era.
Yeah, pretty much.
But out of the rest of the draft and some of these free agency moves, like we've seen Austin Reeves re-sign, Jose Alvarado, just listing a couple of the things towards the end, and the rest of the first round, which team do you think ultimately has gotten better within this week? Like outside of Washington, of course, like maybe a sneaky under radar team. Would you think, and why is that?
It's a pretty good question. I mean, you saw the Kings making a lot of moves to get draft picks. They're trying to build up a little bit. I wouldn't say they necessarily got better, but they definitely made. They didn't just sit on their hands and like hope to get better. They actually did something. But you know what? I was saying this earlier, and I was like kind of. I usually make fun of the Memphis Grizzlies when I get the chance, just because what even is going on over there at this point. But you know, they drafted Cameron Boozer at 3 in this draft, and that is a really, really great pick. I don't really know. Like, I guess based on fit, the Jazz didn't want him. But, like, if I'm the Utah Jazz's GM, I'm like, or actually, you know what? The GM probably made the decision. So if I'm the owner of the Jazz, I'm probably kicking myself that we didn't draft Cam Boozer at 2. But now he's a Grizzly. And, you know, they picked up a couple of other guys in this draft via trades. Richie Saunders in the second round. Memphis has kind of been in a weird place. And not necessarily like to actually make it into the playoffs, but I think Cam Boozer definitely moves the needle for them. And when it comes to a guy like Ja Morant, if he can like figure it out mentally and just lock into a season, Memphis could very easily like finally take that step forward into being a legitimate playoff team.
Yeah, they had that 1 year where they were the 2 seed, and then it just all.
But it just didn't really come. It didn't come through.
Which we've seen a lot of recently in the NBA, where its teams seem to be built for 1 year, and they kind of fall off the track kind of right afterwards.
Cameron Boozer is a guy that you can build your team around. That's something I was kind of thinking about before we went on the air today. Was that like guys coming out of college seem a lot more ready to slot right into a starting roster and make an impact. Cooper Flagg in Dallas, Con Knuppel in Charlotte, and now Debance is going to come to Washington and probably make the starting roster and make an impact immediately. In the past, I feel like these guys, maybe like the first overall pick would usually go straight onto the roster because those teams are usually the most desperate. But now I feel like a lot of these, like all the way through the top 10, a lot of these guys are going to wind up on starting or like next man up off the bench for these teams. And so the talent coming out of college is like above and beyond what it was like 5-10 years ago, and it's keeping up a little bit, I would say, with the international talent that's coming in. You got guys like Wemby, who have been coming in the past few years.
Well, we had back-to-back French #1 overall picks in 2023 and 2024. I like to bring the stat out a lot when it comes to for basketball, but we have not had an American win the NBA MVP since 2018 James Harden.
Oh, yeah, wow.
We have not had an American NBA MVP. So seeing the guys come out of college, somebody needs to step up for the Americans on the side of in the NBA and win an MVP. And it looks like it might not happen with the guys like Luka and guys like Wemby and SGA.
And Luka's still missing an MVP.
Luka is still
missing, if I'm not mistaken, which is wild to me, but also he is very, very due.
And everybody
watch him go get one this year.
Luka seems due for a ring and MVP. We have guys like Anthony Edwards and Cade Cunningham. It's in a very exciting time in the NBA right now, but unfortunately we do have to go to break, and when we come back we will be talking about the NHL season recap and the draft. The NHL draft. We'll be back soon.
Hi soccer fans, Sam Giangrande here, your NYCFC beat reporter for the 2026 season, bringing all the soccer news here to WFUV. From Major League Soccer to the international stage, follow my X page at SamGGWFUV to see moments from each game and interviews with your favorite players and managers. From Yankee Stadium and Citi Field to the road of Etihad Park, follow me to see if New York City can get their second star.
Want to be part of the Ramley? It all starts here. I'm Nathan Rogers.
And I'm Kate Cox, and we are two of your hosts for On the Hill, WFUV's exclusive podcast for all things Fordham athletics.
From the field of Moglia Stadium to the hardwood of the historic Rose Hill Gym, we've got you covered with the ins and outs of Fordham sports.
Every week, every play, every round. Tune in weekly wherever you get your podcasts. This is On the Hill.
Welcome back to One on One. I'm Travis Hayden, again joined by Emma Leonardi and Tucker Austin. And right now we are going to get into the ice and the skates and the pucks and everything that comes with the NHL and hockey.
You love a little puck. A little puck on a Saturday morning.
Love
a
little puck on a Saturday morning.
Even in late June.
Get the Zambonis ready. I was gonna say something Canadian, but again, we beat Canada.
True.
But we're talking about the NHL, the Carolina Hurricanes, formerly the Hartford
it's
Whalers.
Called hockey.
Formerly the Hartford Whalers will never that.
True.
That is what it should be from the beginning of time till the end of time. I don't want to hear anything about this Carolina, but they are Stanley Cup champions. And Emma, where would this team
think about that.
and Tucker rank in terms of like rest some of the best teams in NHL along with some of the other cup winners?
Do you want to go first?
Sure. I mean, this is a Canes team that pretty much dominated the entire regular season. They didn't win the President's Trophy, but that helped them, I would say, in their quest to win the Stanley Cup, because do not win the President's Trophy,
apparently
you will
don't
not
do
win
it.
the Stanley Cup. That's locked in now.
Yeah.
It's actually over. I don't know how the Colorado Avalanche got swept like that by the Golden Knights, but they did. And it is the most obvious instance of a curse that I think I have ever seen. But yeah, this Hurricanes team did not really have much of a problem going through the Eastern Conference in the playoffs. Against the Golden Knights in the Stanley Cup Final, it looked a little dangerous after the first game, maybe even a little bit after Game 2, I would say. But then you go to the rest of the series, and Carolina switched gears, and the Golden Knights could never catch up. And the depth was insane. The goaltender change in the Stanley Cup Final to go from Freddie Anderson to Brandon Bussey, and for Bussey to stand on his head like that was absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah.
Brindamore solidifies himself as one of the better coaches, I would say, in the entire league, if he wasn't already considered that, and he definitely was. But I think this puts him in like even another category, especially when there's not that many guys who have won a Stanley Cup with the same team as both a player and as a bench boss. So that was a cool moment as well. In terms of like all time against like the NHL champions of yore, this is a Hurricanes stat. I think the league is experiencing unreal levels of parity. Every team in the National Hockey League is worth at least $1 billion as of the last time they did valuations for the whole league. You don't see that a lot in pro sports, where even in small markets, all these teams are still worth a lot of money. So it's allowed everybody in the league to go out and get players they need. And we've got to a point where pretty much anybody could beat anybody on any given night. There isn't as big of a gap between the best teams and the worst teams as there is in, say, a Major League Baseball. So I don't know if this it's hard to match them against teams from the past, but I think this Hurricanes team would definitely they would go 7 with a lot of past cup winning teams.
Yeah.
Just based purely on depth and on a team combined willingness to kind of go to the walls for each other. And it's a different kind of brotherhood with that team. It really does seem like that from the outside looking in.
Yeah.
And as a Devils fan, I hate to be giving the Hurricanes all their flowers right now, but it's really the only thing that there is left to do at this point.
Yeah.
Because they've been knocking on the door for that long, and to finally get it over with, and now stand alone as the team to beat in, I mean, yes, the league, but I think they're easily, like, the Eastern Conference runs through Carolina for the next 3 years minimum.
Yeah.
Even if Florida comes back and is like as good as they were next year, I still think Carolina is going to be a mess for them.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
all time, I think one of the better teams to win the Stanley Cup all time.
Yeah. If you had gone back, I want to say like a month and a half, and been like, Emma, you're going to want the Canes to win the Stanley Cup at the end of this, I would
I told you you're insane.
I would have been like, okay, so you need to be put in a psych ward, because that's just never going to happen. But I mean, aside from the stuff with the Golden Knights, I feel like it's yeah, like you were saying, like the team dynamic was just crazy and kind of like beautiful, and they still play boring hockey, and I'll still stand by that, but it really was like nice to see a team just be so, as you said, like a brotherhood, and so I felt like cohesive, and like it just really it kind of like overtook the like boring hockey aspect, also just the overall annoyingness of the Canes, and it was like good hockey.
Wait, you mean
like,
the annoyance of the Knights? You mean? Or you said
no, the annoyingness of the Canes.
Yeah.
I hate
because
the Canes.
like the Golden Knights play hockey the way that most teams play it. The Hurricanes play like some.
Boring.
It's like a the best way I could describe it is a hybrid trap, because it's not a pure trap. It's not like a late 90s, early 2000s Devils trap.
Yeah.
But it has elements of the trap. They love to pin guys up in the corner, just kind of have the puck sit there for a while, poke and prod at it for like a good minute.
Yeah.
And there's
Again,
never a
it's just
stoppage because the
boring.
puck is just bouncing around.
Boring.
It gets hard to watch sometimes, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I feel like they also got away from that style a little bit in the Cup final and started to kind of get a little bit looser.
Yeah.
Because the Golden Knights were kind of allowing them to do that.
Yeah.
What the Hurricanes do really well is shut down fast teams, and they slow fast teams down which is great because across most of the league, you've got young players who are a little bit smaller, a little bit faster, and a lot better with their hands. So they're a lot harder to keep from getting up to speed. But the Hurricanes and the Panthers too, before this year when they just kind of played mid.
Yeah.
The Hurricanes this year they slowed teams down to their level and how fast they wanted to play. And when you set the tempo of the game like that, you can pretty much do whatever you want. It's consistently how the Hurricanes beat the crap out of the Devils every time they played them, especially in Raleigh.
Yeah, it works. But it also helps that you have two states behind you, like two states of fandom, like behind you, with North and
That's
South
true,
Carolina.
although I have no idea how much South Carolinians actually buy into sports teams that are like Carolina, because you got the Panthers the Panthers are in Charlotte, and then Raleigh would be the Canes, and outside of that, it's college basketball in North Carolina.
Yeah.
I feel like South Carolina is very married to their college football teams, and then for professional sports, I feel like it doesn't reach that state nearly as much.
I was in South Carolina and like it wasn't.
But to your point, it is Carolina, so it's both.
Carolina, so it's both. So like I was in South Carolina during. It was either the semis or it was the finals, but I was in South Carolina at that time. It was the finals. It doesn't matter. I was there while they were playing and while they were doing well, and it it wasn't as like crazy as like say New York would be if like it was one of the New York like hockey teams and they were in the finals, but it's still like you could tell that there were like fans around, like the games were playing, like you could tell, and I feel like it doesn't, when it comes to like, especially because hockey's like becoming more popular, I feel like you're gonna go with whatever team is like from your like area, and for South Carolina that is the Carolina Hurricanes.
So when it comes to a team where you guys are saying people kind of are rallying behind the Hurricanes, is there something that makes Vegas like dislike? Like I saw a lot of people were cheering against Vegas, and is that like they've been to the Stanley Cup Finals. This is their third time, and they're not even a decade old. But does that like
that's part of the reason?
Does that get on the nerves of people?
There's many reasons why.
There's many reasons.
I would say not necessarily the primary reason, but I'd say the most obvious reason would be that one, that they are a brand new technically they're not brand new anymore, but I would like still say they're a newer team in terms of like league history. But I mean, when they were founded, their owner said, "We're going to go to a Cup final in the first 5 years."
And they went the first year, didn't they?
Did they go the first year? It was either the first or the second they went.
First year,
but then they won. They won within 5 years.
That's insane.
Which was incredible.
Yeah.
But either way, I think that's part of the reason why people were annoyed with the Vegas Golden Knights, and hockey fans were annoyed with the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah, they reached the finals in their inaugural expansion season.
Yes.
So,
losing to the Caps.
Yeah, but it was because the reason they went to the finals was because it was like,
that was their first year.
If I'm not mistaken, that was the first of the new expansion drafts, which meant there were way more good players that were getting left off of the protection lists on these teams.
Yeah.
So it was like an island of misfit toys
now,
for all of the like solidly good, arguably second or first line players on every other team. Not even B.
B+?
Like high B, low A. Like these were good players that were getting left off of protection lists. And the Golden Knights were the only team in that expansion draft. So they basically got to pick the best and the brightest of like the teams that were not quite starting these guys, but it was because they couldn't break past the studs they already had.
And now if you think about it, it's you just saw them build, and they keep winning. I could see why people could get sick. And now when more teams get added, you have extra teams in the developmental draft, and it starts to go a little bit.
Well, the difference was for when the Kraken were established in Seattle, there were just less of those good players that were getting left unprotected, because there was one more team that had a lot of those guys, and they got to protect those guys too, so they were just kind of off the list. And then the same thing with the Mammoth, where they kind of the Mammoth were the Coyotes, so not exactly the same there, but yeah, with the Kraken at least, and they're trying to continue to expand. So, I mean, the pool of players is just going to get more and more diluted the more teams that they add to the league. That was, but the winning early on in their history, especially with teams that are like extremely old and haven't won in a while.
Yeah.
That's reason number one. Reason number two is that going back to the final the second time when they actually won it, they did so using a loophole in the NHL regulations in terms of injured players, where if you put a player on long-term injured reserve, they're at least at the time, I'm not sure if they've changed this since then, but the Golden Knights just haven't done it as often. They don't their salary comes off of the team's salary when they go to the LTIR. So if you put a guy on long-term injured reserve for like 2 or 3 months, you can bring in like 2 or 3 more guys to kind of fill his spot.
Yeah.
Especially with guys who are making as much money as like Mark Stone or Tomas Hertl. And the question became, are these guys actually hurt, or are they just being placed on long-term injured reserve with a quote-unquote injury to give the Golden Knights room to run to the playoffs? And then the big kicker was these guys would get activated within a week of the playoffs starting, or as the playoffs started, and suddenly we're healthy.
So that's where the grudge against the Golden and the fan base against the Golden Knights.
And I would say the last reason would be that it's related to Carter Hart.
Yeah.
Oh, so I will say that is all we have for our NHL segment, our season recap.
At least for season
we
recap.
looked into the Golden Knights. We looked into the Golden Knights, and we looked into the Hurricanes. When we come back, we're going to be talking about the draft, and I got some interesting questions prepared for you too.
Of course.
All right.
You're listening to WFUV New York.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to One on One. As I said before, I'll say it again. I'm Travis Hayden. I am joined by the great Emma Leonardi and the great Tucker Austin. If you are looking to call in, our number is 718-817-2750. And again, if you are looking to call in, that will be 718-817-2750. We will be talking about the NHL draft as one season closes, another season starts to begin, and what sports season doesn't start without a draft? Emma, big Caps girl. Tucker, big Devils guy. I wanted to ask you guys a question. What are you looking to see your teams fill in the NHL draft this year?
I feel like for the Caps, a big thing right now is like, yeah, like we just really need D-men and like good ones. And I don't think that we're like the guy that we drafted. He's from Finland. He's from Finland, I believe. And he's I'm pretty sure he's he normally plays center, and he wasn't like honestly the best pick we could have made, but I do think like going 18th, it wasn't a bad pick necessarily. Especially because he's probably going to spend some time with the Hershey Bears in the AHL, and like we just really need D-men, and I've seen a lot of comments online about like how people are like, we're doing all of these like trades, like we had Chisholm just went to the Devils last night after, I'm pretty sure it happened after the first round of the draft. And then we've also had like bigger trades for like other people, obviously, but a lot of people seem to think that like with us trading away like a ton of draft capital and also just like random players such as Chisholm and also like McMichael and whatever, like people are like, oh, they're building up for a bigger trade for a bigger star D-man. So it's just like, but that is what we need, and we like, so it's kind of hard to like look at them picking a center and be like happy with it, but also he seems like a good player. I was hearing that he kind of has a Tom Wilson style play, so I'm not upset with it, but to answer your question, yeah, we really need more talent in defense.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that that's the strategy seemingly for the Capitals, because it feels like it's almost the exact same strategy for the Devils. With that move, the Devils have made a couple of trades in the last couple of days to bring in players that I don't think are necessarily players that Sonny Mehta is looking to bring into the NHL roster. Kind of like you were saying, where like some of these guys would probably spend time at Utica, or they're not going to spend any time at Utica, and they're actually all being collected into a package that may or may not include Connor Hellebuck.
Yeah,
the Devils are looking for goaltending in the general like NHL marketplace. They're not looking for goaltending from the draft. They're definitely looking elsewhere. Someone already established on a team. That's why they brought in Markstrom, but he hasn't been nearly what the Devils were hoping for. I would say arguably for stretches last season, Jake Allen was outplaying Jacob Markstrom. And yes, Markstrom was injured for a time last year, but I think like when Markstrom was healthy, I'd make quote unquote healthy maybe. I'm sure he was playing through something, but
yeah.
I mean, you're making Jake Allen, who at this point is ancient, look like a serviceable goaltender. That's a serious issue. And nothing against Jake Allen. He is a very serviceable goaltender. But when you're making him look like the best goaltender on the team, that tends to be a problem. And like Markstrom is supposed to be the guy. Yeah. So the Devils' draft strategy this year kind of looks like they're trying to build up the forward group. I mean, it looks very obviously like that's the case. They picked up a 6'1" center with the 12th pick in the first round from Sweden, Alexander Command.
Or Baby Heish. Were you seeing the comparisons between
yes.
him?
Devil, I try to insulate myself as much as I can from Devils social media because those people are actually insane.
Fair enough.
Like most Devils fans are a little bit insane, but when you go on Twitter and espouse about how you're insane, I think that makes you even more insane. So I mean, yeah, like there were people drawing comparisons to Nico Hischier, but there were also people on social media going out and saying like, "Oh, he's better than Hischier. He's going to be even better." But these are the people who say that Nico Hischier is like not a good captain. And it's like, you see, these people are Devils fans and they say this. It's baffling to me.
I mean, the guy had
either way.
The guy had 27 goals and 50 assists. That.
How can you not?
He led the Swedish Junior League in points at his position. I'm fairly certain. But either way, I'm happy that Jesper Bratt has a Swedish friend now, other than Markstrom. Maybe they'll play on a line together, and then they can play Hischier and Meyer together, the Swiss boys, and then play the Swedish boys together. and then let
No.
Jack Hughes do whatever he wants.
just let him
Do
go.
whatever.
Just let him go.
Well, no, actually, Jack Hughes can play on a line with DeBrincat when they trade for him.
Fair enough. I feel like, I don't know. First of all, how can anybody hate Nico Hischier? Like that
It's
makes me
bad.
sad.
That's
Like,
another
that
whole
makes me
situation.
sad. I don't even want to think about anybody not liking that man.
Well, it's because the entire Devils team basically had a combined off year this year.
Yeah.
And because Jack Hughes was injured the year before, and he was banged up a little bit again this year.
Yes.
But I would say it wasn't even a real injury because it wasn't like a playing injury or something that happened in practice. It was a wildly unavoidable incident that I will not elaborate on any further because I'm done with that.
Right.
I am done. I am
Right.
long
Right.
done
Right.
with
So-
the hand incident. We are done.
So again, for improvements you want to see with the Devils, the end of the year last year, the Devils ended up going 14, 23, and 1, which is
That was the run to end the season.
that was the run to end the year.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, that's how you missed the playoffs after starting the season with 8 straight wins. Or they won
Yeah.
I think 10 straight games at home
that's
to start the season.
Yeah, do you remember when you were like, the Devils are going to win, the entire thing? They're going to be so good
because
this
who wouldn't
season.
say that? They had the best record in the league through the first month.
now I feel like we're just making Tucker upset for no reason here. So $12.2
The
million.
Devils did as much as you guys did.
We've moved.
not my fault.
The draft has happened. With 12, you guys had $12.2 million in cap space. Any other? What is some of the other free agency moves you're looking to make as well? We already had the draft come by.
I already mentioned Hellebuck is definitely on the radar. They're looking for a goaltender, and Hellebuck has been on the Devils' radar in terms of bringing him in to be the goaltender for quite some time now. And
I wanna see
even
that.
when
wanna
the
see that
Markstrom, the
real
year
bad.
the Markstrom deal happened, there were rumors about Connor Hellebuck, but Markstrom felt like almost a good alternative at the time. But now it's
Yeah.
just okay, now I kind of wish we just shelled out for Hellebuck and ignored the whole Markstrom situation. But also, I've seen rumors about Alex DeBrincat as well, because he currently wants out of Detroit. Or no, Larkin wants out of Detroit, and DeBrincat likely will follow if Larkin does manage to get out of Detroit, because at this point the Red Wings are, with Larkin requesting a trade, that tells me the Red Wings are falling apart at the seams. And once that domino falls, I feel like the entire rest of it is going to fall, and they're just going to have to go into full rebuild mode.
Yeah.
So what that means for all the other teams is that there are some really high-level, talented players on
That is
Detroit
true.
that might be leaving the city very soon.
That is
DeBrincat
true.
is one of those guys. And if I'm not mistaken, DeBrincat was... I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but did he play for that Olympic team? I'm fairly certain. Because I've seen it connected with Jack Hughes and
I'm trying
yes,
to remember.
he's from Michigan.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
DeBrincat was on the American Olympic team. He didn't make as much of a notable impact, I would say, as the guys who became famous internationally because of it. But DeBrincat and Hughes were still teammates on that team, and we kind of talked about, or I don't know if you were on this show, but we talked about it the last time we were on 5-on-3, how it was with Lydia Perner. She was kind of asking us, do you think that winning that gold medal has kind of impacted this year's offseason and where these players want to go? Larkin's trade list being Vegas, Florida, and Minnesota, and that's it, with maybe a couple exceptions, but it's because a majority of the American players from that Olympic team are there already. So these guys are definitely trying to link up with their clubs aside from the international play. I think DeBrincat would be a lovely fit in New Jersey.
No, I don't hate
The
that.
last thing I'm going to ask before we wrap up, I want to ask you one thing and you one thing. Tucker, we're going to just start with you, and then I'm going to go right to Emma. Tucker, real quick, new Devils general manager. Tom Fitzgerald was fired last offseason. What are your thoughts on Sonny Mejeta so far?
I think
Right guy for the job, or
I absolutely. I think it was a good pick for the job. I mean, the jury will be out because the Devils have had some really bad experiences with general managers in the past, especially with Tom Fitzgerald. That experience was very frustrating for a lot of Devils fans, so I feel like
see it's over.
the patience is not necessarily there for this group of fans. And it's a tough thing to see because when you have a new general manager, you want to give him that leniency and you want to like afford him the patience that is required to build something from the ground up that is brand new. Yes, the roster is mostly the same, but you know, these couple of trades in the last few days for like what I would say are kind of like much smaller moves, but they're still moves nonetheless, and it seems like he's building towards something that could break a headline.
Yeah.
I really like the pick so far. Like there's been some things going on. At least he's not like a lame duck manager or a lame duck GM so far. But the day that he showed up in New Jersey, his press conference at the Prudential Center, I watched that whole thing live the day it happened. That was one of the most candid press conferences I think I've ever seen from a general manager. It was just himself sitting there. He was. I remember at the start he was trying to like deliver some kind of like quip to try and ease the tension in the room, and he like grabbed his water bottle and tried to drink from it. His hands were shaking so bad. But it wasn't like a shaking, oh, he doesn't know what he's doing. It's like a shaking, oh, I got the feeling that he does know what he's doing. He's just nervous that he's taking over the Devils because this guy grew up in New Jersey. Yeah. He grew up less than 30 minutes away from the Prudential Center. He's been going to Devils games literally since their inception. His family moved to New Jersey the same year the Devils became a team in 1982. So this guy is like the ideal candidate for a team if you were trying to build a culture from scratch, because their winning culture is gone. They had it with the teams in the 2000s. They've lost it since then. Yeah. And they need to get back there, and this is a guy who experienced that as a fan at the time and also helped bring a cup to the Florida Panthers in the meantime.
Yeah, I would say less so that he doesn't know what he's talking about, more so that he cares so much.
He cares just so much about this job, specifically this job.
And that's always what you want from one of your GMs. And I'm actually grateful you brought that level of insight to the Devils GM search. And then there's the one last thing I wanted to ask while we have the time here is, Emma, Capitals have $24 million in cap space. You said they drafted a forward that you didn't want, maybe, or a forward that you did like his play style, but maybe wanted a different position. The big question is Alex Ovechkin, if coming back. Do you you guys also missed the playoffs last year? Do you think that him coming back, it's starting to be like a crutch for this team at this point, that we're still leaning on him? And do you want to see him come back?
I don't think so at all, because I feel like everybody literally they don't like even like really. Like, they do put him on the ice, but they don't. Like, he's Gramps. Like, he literally goes and he stands in his corner.
He stands in
the
circle.
Watches.
Yeah, he stands there.
And I feel like it's not even like a thing where fans are like,
seriously
oh, it's
the Messi
Grandpa.
of hockey.
It's literally like I feel like the team also feels that way. And again, I don't like. I'm not exactly clear on the statistics of this, but I'm pretty sure that they've started putting him on the ice less, and like, and again, like I can't pull up the exact time differences, but but I feel like they just have been putting him on the ice less, and like I think that they kind of lean more on him for like a culture type thing instead of an actual like, oh, he's gonna make us the big plays.
I like to consider. It's always nice to have like an all-time great just in the corner.
Do you feel like they're gonna bring him back? His contract is up.
I mean,
and he was making close to $9 million, if not, he was making $9.5 million a year.
24 in cap space.
If he wants to come back, he's gonna come back.
I don't think you can pay him $9.5 million again. Yes, they have $24 million in cap space. That's great. You cannot spend close to $10 million of that money on Alex Ovechkin. He is much at this point.
Yeah,
he is too old and does not produce nearly as much as $9.5 million is worth. Last year, the year before this year, yes, because he was still producing at a high clip. This year, it kind of just felt like the chase for the goal record, and that was kind of it. And yes, he was still contributing, but not $9.5 million a year.
No, and I don't disagree with that, but I still think just based on the culture, the team culture, and the fan culture,
100%.
If he wants to come back, he's coming back. Like, I don't think that there's an option of them being like, oh no.
Would you like to see that though, or would you like to see that as a fan, Emily?
I mean,
yes or no?
I want to see him live in person playing a game on my team again before he retires.
All right.
So I'm not upset with it, but I do wish we could like spend money on other things.
Yeah.
All right,
That's
so
kind of where
we have to wrap this segment up. This was our NHL. Just looking at, I got to chat to you guys about your teams. This is One on One, and we will be right back, and we're coming right back out with the World Cup.
Hi, I'm Mary Hawthorne, one of your hosts on WFUV's tennis podcast, Cross the Line. From breakdowns of majors to courtside U.S. Open coverage, we've got you covered on all things tennis from the ATP and WTA. Tune in to weekly episodes of Cross the Line on YouTube and featured segments on One on One. Cross the Line, WFUV's home court for tennis.
Hi, I'm Ashley Went, one of your hosts for FUVFC, WFUV's best, if not only podcast for all things soccer. From insight from beat reporters for all of New York soccer clubs to breakdowns of all the major leagues and events from the international pitch to right here in the States. Tune in weekly as we discuss all things soccer on Spotify, Apple, and wherever you get your podcasts. See you next week on FUVFC, a product of WFUV.
Hey sports fans, it's Bobby C. I'm the sports director here at WFUV. From live broadcasts of Fordham Athletics to coverage of all the professional sports teams in the NYC, we've got everything a sports fan could ask for. Like talking sports? Check out One on One, New York's longest-running sports call-in show, as well as our diverse collection of podcasts. If you're a Fordham student interested in joining our program, feel free to shoot me an email, bobbyc@wfuv.org. And as always, thank you to all of our listeners who support us every week. 90.7 FM is the home of WFUV Sports.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. I am Travis Hayden, joined by Emma Leonardi. Tucker Austin will be back here in a second. Repeating it again, our great producer today is Kurt Sipple, and the person in charge of the graphics is the great Grace McCarran. Bobby Chaffordini is our sports director, and if you're looking to call in to One on One, New York's longest-running sports call-in show, the number is 718-817-2750. 718-817-2750. Emma, it's time to discuss the World Cup.
Yes, I'm wearing my Mbappe shirt. That my mom, shout out to my mom. She got me. She was in France about 2 weeks ago, I think, and she surprised me when she got back with an Mbappe shirt and a France scarf, which I left in the other room. Oh my God, Kurt's bringing it in! Oh,
wow! Oh my God, we have the France scarf itself.
Hold on, I'll hold it up. She told me, she was like, Emma, you better hold this up on your show, and I said okay.
Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Emma Leonardi is representing France. I just had the mic fall off of here. We'll see what happens right there. And Tucker's walking back in. What an amazing moment in one-on-one history. Emma has this. I'm holding the mic with my own hand.
Oh no!
And Tucker just walked right in.
It happened again. That's
Our
gonna be
World Cup
It's gonna be
segment.
fun next break. You good like that, or you
I'm
try and fix it?
chilling like this. I feel like I'm Mr. Kennedy right now.
Yeah, there you go.
Bag pull for those
But
who know.
anyway,
Yes, my France
USA.
scarf. Okay.
What?
We were talking about me. We were talking about me
Yeah,
and my
no.
mom and my lovely mom who got me all of this merch.
Yes, shout out Emma's mom for the
Shout
merch.
out Emma's
but
mom.
at
Shout
the
out
same
Janet
time,
Hodder.
we know that France is good. It right now it's about
Can you just
can
let
we
me
can we
live my
push the
life?
USA over the edge? Can we get them there?
Can you just let me live my life?
From everything.
Yeah, do what you want. The French are probably gonna win the World Cup.
I
Like,
know.
yay! I'm so and the USA is probably gonna get bounced as late as the round of 16.
Yeah.
Maybe a quarterfinal. Quarterfinal would be fun, but I mean, there's a lot stacked against them. And this, by the way, this has nothing to do with the fact that the USA dropped their last game to Turkey. I could really care less about that game, and I think fans should care very little about how that game went because
they were already in.
We swapped 9 players out of the starting 11 from the previous game, and a lot of those guys probably wouldn't even have seen time at this World Cup, period, if we hadn't already won the group by that point, like you were saying. So for me, that Turkey game is a bit of a wash. If they happened to win that one, I think it would have been an insane amount of momentum going into the rest of the tournament now, but at the same time, it also kind of brought back to light this question of the USA versus UEFA teams. Can they beat teams from Europe?
Yeah.
And, I mean, recent form says no. The last time they played Bosnia and Herzegovina, I think they did win, but it was only a 1-goal game. And this Bosnian team is loaded with talent. It's their round of 32 matchup. It's now confirmed.
The round of 32 starts tomorrow, and low-key...
I can't believe it. I can't believe it's already here.
I'm so excited.
I'm a little bit of both. I'm excited for the knockout rounds, but at the same time, I am going to miss this group stage run.
I completely agree.
Getting to flip on a TV at 11 a.m. and there's games going on until like 10 at night.
It's beautiful.
There is nothing better than that.
It's beautiful. It's why I love the World Cup. Like it's
all. I've been a little banged. I get why they have to have the last group games played at the same time, but it makes it so much more difficult because now I'm choosing between which of these 2 games to watch.
And you just want to continuously watch. Like
it's so good.
Yeah.
Like the World Cup in and of itself is good, but I think like I'm certainly don't think I'm alone in saying this. I am enamored by the fact that it is here, that it's in Canada, the United States, and Mexico.
Yeah.
Like this experience of hosting a World Cup has been it's been like nothing that I have ever seen. You only heard about it from 1994 because none of us were around for the 1994 World Cup, so we've only ever heard stories of how cool it was to host a World Cup and all that, but it never was a material thing that I was able to understand until now, and it is really, really special.
I think what we've been seeing is it is really cool. I gotta be honest, having all these teams kind of come here for the World Cup. I feel like I'd be more into it right now if it was an Olympics. I can get behind Team USA. I'm really excited to see that, even though I think we've used up our USA underdog stories this year, I think. So we have to go through and wait and see. Maybe for the 250 they've written us another little miracle comeback story, but who knows?
It would be a serious underdog story if they were to go to if they were to be in the quarterfinals or if they made it to the semifinals. Like that would be
oh my god,
the story
of
the story of a generation.
Especially with it being like here.
They have to go on the heater of a lifetime though. They literally have to play better than any other US men's national team in history.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part to conceptualize.
But that's
also, do we
also
think this is the best team we've ever had? Probably. But is it good enough
Sam
to go win a World Cup? I don't
think
so.
Sam seems to think so.
You know, I see Sam's stories a lot, and shout out to Sam because he does a lot of great work for us, and he has gotten to go to a couple of games at this World Cup so far. So, and it seems like he's having an absolute blast. So shout out to him, but at the same time, I also need him to pump the brakes on the American team.
You don't want him to jinx it?
Not even that I don't want him to jinx it. I just think he's like Sam. When you look at Sam's stories on Instagram, it makes it seem like the United States is going and claiming something that was rightfully ours, or we were already really good and had a bad stretch and are now back to where we're supposed to be. But that's not the case. The feeling that this should be reveling in how ridiculous it is that we have a shot to actually run in this tournament. I think our draw in the knockout rounds is extremely favorable. If we get by Bosnia, our next opponent would be either of South Korea or Egypt. I mean, I've seen pundits on TV talking about how both of those should be winnable games for the U.S. South Korea, maybe. Egypt, I do not know if they have what it takes to beat Egypt. Egypt is a very, very good squad. Mo Salah at the lead of that one, and a lot of good talent the rest of the way down. They're not a European team; they're an African team, but they're one of the better African teams. Like you've got teams like Egypt and Morocco, also out of Africa, who are extremely solid and like have top level players playing in Europe across the board. These are the teams that I'm not 100% sure that the U.S. national team stacks up against.
Yeah.
And so I'm not gonna sit here and act like every time the USA kicks off, I think they're gonna go win. In that Turkey game, that's how I felt, because I felt that a win was needed for momentum going forward. Not needed, obviously, for the points, but I think it was needed for like the vibe of the team generally. And it was nice that they scored. That was like a good moment for them to get like and I mean they scored twice, so I think it was a good moment, especially for Sebastian Berhalter to get that goal. That was a big moment for him. But I just don't see it as patriotic about this team as I am, and as much as I want to believe in Team USA, I believe in them to an extent. And this stat I have in front of me is the biggest reason why. The U.S. national team in their last 13 games against European opponents are 0-11-2.
Wow, that is an interesting stat.
They have conceded 22 goals in that span. They've been shut out 4 times, and they have not scored more than 1 goal in any of the 11 losses.
So you mentioned it earlier about jinxing Team USA. We have a caller in right now from Long Island, New York himself, Sam Giangrande, visitor from Boston. Sam, are you there? Can we hear you?
I'm there.
Yeah.
I heard my name and I was summoned to call in.
I was hoping.
I knew you'd be here to check me on this.
So I brought up your name because I was like, I hope he calls.
Yeah, so we were waiting for you to call in. Tucker hasn't liked what you've been saying about Team USA.
It's not that I don't like it, it's that just I'm not on the same bandwagon. I'm on a slightly slower wagon.
I get it. And like I definitely have been overly excited with this team, but at the same time, I think the whole thing with Turkey, that they played relatively their B team, and it was really just a last-minute error by the whole team, especially having Matt Turner between the posts. He's really out of favor of this tournament. I don't think he was ready to play a game at all. Like, I think if Matt Freese was playing this game, that it would have only been 1 goal Turkey was able to get through. But I think what you said about Egypt, I would really disagree. Even though they did good, I would say, in the group stage, they're technically unbeaten. I think the USA could wipe through Egypt. And Mo Salah, as good of a player he is, hasn't had the biggest impact on this Egypt team. But at the same time, I don't want to get in over my head. I don't want to get too overconfident with this team. But I think it's relatively favorable if they were to go through and play either Egypt or South Korea. South Korea hasn't been that strong this tournament either.
No, yeah, they've definitely been having an off year. Can the USA roll Egypt?
I wouldn't say
I don't think
roll,
so.
but I think on paper the USA is a way better team than Egypt. I think Egypt's more been playing with really good moments than having a definitively good squad, if that makes sense. I wouldn't.
I agree with that.
The USA is stronger, but stuff like this can go either way. But the USA is going to be on the West Coast for, hypothetically, if they made it to the quarterfinals, they'd be all the way until the semifinals. They leave the West Coast, and they've been very comfortable there so far.
I just, it's really tough. Yes, it's a good draw, although I think I may have actually been mistaken from earlier about who the path is for the United States after, because the last time I was looking at it, it was either South Korea or Egypt, but I think that has been shuffled around.
Now.
Egypt is now playing Australia in their round of 32 game, and I don't think either Egypt or South Korea are in the Americans' like kind of end of the bracket. I'm trying to pull up FIFA's official bracket now.
It says it's going to be Belgium and South Korea for now, but South Korea, that could change because it would be the final third place team. So it could be between, I think, South Korea, Algeria, and DR Congo. So, but Belgium is 100%
So,
on this.
yeah,
in that
either way, the
group.
United States is going to run into a wall in the round of 16 against Belgium, who have previously eliminated this team from the World Cup. If anyone remembers from 2014 in Rio de Janeiro, it was at the hands of the Belgians. So that's what's crazy. It's like you bring any European team into the mix, and suddenly the United States is kind of just out of the question now. They run into a Belgium early, or if they happened to run into a team like the Netherlands. Even I think Sweden at times in this tournament has shown the quality necessary to get by the United States. It just seems so tall of a hill to climb for the USA against any team from UEFA.
I mean, Belgium wasn't really that good of a team, though, until their final game. That was against New Zealand, which I think they're in the top 3 worst-ranked teams in the whole tournament.
Yeah.
Like, they had 2 draws against Egypt and then Iran, and then they did get very through on New Zealand, but it's also New Zealand. Like, they haven't looked that convincing, and I was watching both games on the multicam yesterday for Iran, Egypt, and then New Zealand, Belgium, and even a lot of the goals that Belgium scored came from direct errors from the goalkeeper and from the defense. They didn't look too strong. The whole team, their golden generations at this point very far gone. So I would be hesitant to say Belgium would be such a strong opponent for the U.S. just because if we're going for any team in UEFA, I think Bosnia and Belgium are on the easier side. Like, yes, Belgium sounds
Surely,
like a
yes.
team on paper, but if you look at their team and how they performed this World Cup, they haven't been that good.
I so want to be on your side. I really, really do. Because
join the bandwagon, Tucker.
It gives the United States such a better outlook for going deep into this tournament, and we're hosting it, and it's the 250th anniversary of the nation's founding, and it's a sport that we haven't found any success in pretty much at all on the international stage, aside from a couple of conference cups and like decent runs of form in our side of the world. But when it comes to the World Cup, we've been pretty much a non-factor for a majority of our existence. I want to believe that they can do it. I really do. But the big thing that I think you've mentioned about both Egypt and now Belgium is that they've been able to capitalize on mistakes. And yes, sure, that may have been like some of the only reasons why they were able to move on, but it's also pretty much the only reason the United States ever concedes a goal. I mean, if you've noticed from the group stage, in the games the United States has played, when they have given up goals, it's been because of bonehead defensive mistakes or because of like something that went on with the goaltender. You mentioned that it was Matt Turner playing against Turkey. Yes, I 100% agree with you that the guy to go with is Freeze for sure. But I mean, still, like they had a group of guys playing against Turkey who really all they had to do was just try to make as few mistakes as possible, and then they still wound up losing. I think that could just as easily happen to the A squad for the Americans, where you have 2 moments in the game out of the full 90. There could be 2 moments out of the full game where something goes the slightest bit wrong on defense, but if you're playing against a team like Belgium, they're going to capitalize on both of them, and if we can only score 1 goal, that's it. It's just over. And then you go home early, and that's the end of that's all she wrote. So
that's so negative Nancy, though.
But it's entirely what's likely to happen.
Tucker.
Unless the United States scores 4+ goals every game, they can't be safe from
Tucker,
themselves.
You're gonna speak this into existence, so we have to.
Tucker.
We have to speak our.
The same year
into
we beat
existence.
Canada for gold in hockey. The same year Hamza Chimaev lost to Sean Strickland.
It would be
the same year
huge
Justin
year.
Gaethje beat Ilya Taporia at the White House. Are you telling me we don't have one more in us?
It would be a huge year for the United States if this did happen.
You have to stop drink. You have to drink it. You have to believe it.
This-
you can't say you can't
to
say
speak
no,
it.
but
You
you
have
also
to
have to
speak
speak it into existence as well. And you need to speak the USA into existence, into going far into the World Cup, going further than before. That this isn't like one of those U.S. teams. You can't just sit back and say every reason why it's not going to happen. You need to have a little hopium. Come on, man. Sam will
Travis,
say it.
I actually love that so much, Travis.
Hey.
Like be on the good bandwagon, Tucker. Like they're
Be
no
on
famous.
the good
into
bandwagon,
existence.
Tucker. Sam,
I'm
thank
not
you.
even rooting for the U.S. Speak it into existence, Tucker.
All right, Sam, I want to thank you so much for calling in and joining us
guys
for
for
this
having me.
segment.
Thanks, Sam.
Thank you, Sam.
Got Tucker all riled up about about how we're not going to win the World Cup and how Team USA isn't going anywhere and how Team USA just sucks apparently.
I have one more thing. We are not a bad team. We are much more talented than I have.
From the way you make it sound like it sounds like it.
Much more talented than I have ever seen this team play. Seriously, they've shown me things that I have not seen from Team USA in the past, but these teams in Europe are different. If we played against France,
and the USA,
it would not go well.
And
if we played against Spain, it would not go well.
And that's
like these things are true. Like not necessarily these things are true, but these things are likely. And I'm not speaking these things into existence because like looking for a jinx. I am speaking reality in the hopes that Team USA can be self-aware of where they are weak and how to make that a non-factor. How do you make those defensive mistakes a complete non-factor in a game? It's by being hyper-aggressive and scoring early and often as possible. It's what was successful in the first two games, but they took their foot off the gas against Turkey, and it came back to bite them. You cannot afford to take your foot off the gas again for the rest of this tournament. That has to be the mentality for this team if they want to do anything.
And
I just don't know if I can trust that mentality to stick for the next 3 weeks.
They do need to have that mentality, Tucker Austin. You are correct. But the thing where I believe you are wrong is where we need to just give hope no matter what. We have to run to break, unfortunately. That was an electric segment. We'll be right back with One on One.
Hi, this is Mike Breen, WFUV class of 1983. WFUV is the flagship station of Fordham Athletics with live coverage of Fordham football, Fordham men's and women's basketball, in addition to Saturday one-on-one. Stay right here on 90.7 FM for all things WFUV sports.
Hi, this is Michael Kay, WFUV class of 1982. WFUV is your home for all things Fordham athletics, with live coverage of Fordham football, Fordham men's and women's basketball, in addition to our Saturday show, One on One. Stay right here on 90.7 FM for all things WFUV sports.
Hey, this is Chris Carino, Fordham and WFUV class of 1992. WFUV is your home for all things Fordham athletics, with live coverage of Fordham football, Fordham men's and women's basketball, in addition to our Saturday show, One on One. Stay right here on 90.7 FM for all things WFUV sports.
Welcome back to One on One. I'm joined by Tucker Austin, Emma Leonardi. My name is Travis Hayden, and I am a certified G. And let's get this going. We have Kurt Sipple in the back.
That thing is jammed. That's not going back on the mic arm until after.
Yeah, I have to hold this. Kurt Sipple was in here trying to help me, put this back up. I'm just holding the mic for the rest of this. And we also have Grace McCarron back there, and Bobby Chaffordini, our great, oh my God, our sports head. Great. Now I'm going off the rails holding this mic. If you would like to call in, I've said it before, say it again, 718-817-2750. And right now we are going to be talking about the New York Mets. Big topics covering the Mets recently. Their manager has been fired. Just this disaster for Mendoza. 2+ years in, he gets the can. The Mets have one of the worst records in Major League Baseball. Emma reported on the game yesterday. And Emma, how was that experience?
Guys, let me tell you, it was actually like I woke up yesterday morning knowing that I was like going to go to this game, and I saw the news and I was like, wow, this is crazy. So, because like it was the first game. Like,
mind you, also it was against the Phillies, so keep that Mets-Phillies big rivalry, right?
Yeah,
Like,
Mets-Phillies big rivalry.
So with a coaching fire, I'm so sorry to but I want to phrase the question first. With a coach firing happening, and a rivalry game, all within kind of like the couple days, what is it like going into beat report like a game like that where everything seems like so uncertain, and especially against a rival too?
I feel like I was expecting a much worse outcome than what happened, and like I can 100% like I feel like there's different ways to break this down. I feel like we definitely have to just talk about Carlos Mendoza in general, but I'm gonna start with like the more like what happened yesterday, not like what was predicted to happen, what actually happened. And what happened was that the Mets did not do that bad in their first game without Carlos Mendoza, to be honest. Like they had Zach Thornton, who had just been called up that morning from the Syracuse Mets AAA, and he had only started once before, not only for the Mets, but in his major league career. And so it was his second major league career start. And he started and he got the first 3 batters, got hits off of him, and the first 2 made it on base, and then the third got a single to bring in a run. But that was the only run he allowed in 6 innings. He was on the mound for 6 innings. He pitched 78. He struck out 7. And I would honestly, starting the game, you're like, oh, this is like not great, because you're seeing that, a run was just scored. It's been like 2 seconds. And this is also like kind of like a rookie pitcher. Like you're nervous, but after seeing the rest of his performance on the mound, those 6 innings that he was in, honestly, it was really good. It was really good. I was so shocked, and I was I honestly would chalk up that first run to nerves. I'm not entirely sure if that's what it was. I'm not in his head or anything, but I think that there's a good case for it just being nerves. And so I feel like you can't just focus on the fact that the third batter to go up against him got a run. You have to focus on, like, not a home run, but got a single to make a run, and you have to focus on not that, but what happened after and how he was just able to come back from that, even like when, again, I think that there's a good case for nerves, but that could have been even more nerve-wracking, because it's like, oh, I already allowed one, like, oh my gosh.
To be fair to him, the top of the Phillies order is Trey Turner,
Oh
Kyle
my God,
Schwarber,
it's
and Bryce
awful.
Harper in that
It's
order. And the guy who he
awful.
gave up the RBI single to was Bryce Harper.
Yeah,
So, like,
yeah, awful.
it's not like
And
it
then-
was like the bottom of the order
And then
or
the
something.
fact that he like came back and again went the next 5 innings, scoreless.
Yeah, it's a
got
big bounce
7
back.
Got 7 strikeouts overall. Really good for him. Like, it
Only
was
one
really
walk, too.
impressive, to be honest. Yeah, it was really impressive. And I was sitting there like, wow, this is kind of crazy. I said in like my post game report that he locked in, but like he really locked in. I was thinking about it again this morning. I was like, wow, that was really crazy. Grace and I were talking about it pre one-on-one this morning, and we were just like, wow, that actually was really crazy. And then also you had Jared Young making these great like catches for the Mets. Like, so many more runs would have been scored if Jared Young wasn't at first base. And so I feel like you have to look at the positives in this situation. Even though they lost 2-1, like, this rookie pitcher only allowed one. He did great otherwise. And then you had Brazoban, unfortunately, was on the mound for 1 inning and allowed 1 run, and that was kind of tragic. But, like, 2-1 when you're in this situation, and also it's the first game under under new management, is just, like, honestly, like, the only thing that you could ask for more is a win. But this isn't even that bad. So I'm very interested to see how they do today. I'm interested to see how they do tomorrow. I'm interested to see if Thornton becomes more of a regular. Like, I'm just very interested in this. But talking strictly about Carlos Mendoza, it was not great energy in the clubhouse after the game. And I think that, honestly, I don't even think that most of it was because of the loss, because, again, I don't think it was that tragic of a loss. I think that it was because of just this huge impact on the team with Carlos Mendoza exiting. And I even got a chance to talk to Juan Soto, and he was talking about his opinions on Carlos Mendoza, which we're gonna hear from him now.
I mean, it sucks, you know. It's tough to see a guy like that. I mean, I was really close with him. I talked to him a lot, and then get to see him go is really tough.
Yeah, it really, like, it was seriously, like, when I say the energy was so low, it was so low, and I just really felt for him. I was, like, kind of, like, not, like, tearing up, but, like, I felt like I wanted to tear up. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is just because you can tell, like, the impact that he had. And, like, will I say that, like, he didn't make any no, he made mistakes. And, like, I don't, it's not that I disagree with, like, the decision, but it just is 100% also a culture thing. And I think that you need to, like, take that into account. I also think that you need to think about the fact that within the past week with the Venezuela earthquakes, like, Carlos Mendoza's family is from there. And so he was dealing with, like, that, and also, like, but he's the type of manager where, again, you can talk about, like, the positives and negatives of him exiting when it comes to stuff on the field, but off the field, I was seeing lots of reports that he reached out to, and, like, was checking in on players whose families were also from Venezuela, and so it's like, you got to think about that sort of culture thing.
So I was gonna say, with a record like the Mets, like, I would say, like, a coaching change or a firing or that sort of thing, there's no question that it probably should be happening at this point in time. Your clip with Juan Soto, by the way, great job with that, an awesome job in there. He sounds so emotional, and for a guy that hopped around the league a lot too, for the star that he is, he took his time. He's been to a few different teams. For something that it seems like, that's a guy who's been to a few different teams, has had a bunch of different managers and coaches and players throughout his entire career. And sometimes when you have a star that big, that the mindset seems to be living, that they're the guy, like, it's all them, and it's not so much about the people around you. But I mean, he's the reason why he has that, what is it, $500 million contract, or something along that line.
It's a lot, yeah.
But there's a reason why
Soto.
Yeah,
700.
700. There's a reason why Han Soto has a $700 million
700
contract.
plus.
But for him to get emotional and to hear, like, the pain,
you
in
can
his
hear
voice,
it.
Like, you can hear the pain in his voice,
and like, the videos,
wow.
like, the videos, even like he just looks so down.
Obviously, there is the dilemma of Carlos Mendoza. He's great for our players. Love him.
I'd be sad too if I was 14 games under 500.
Okay,
well,
Tucker.
That was the point.
What at what point are we going to actually talk about what is happening on the field, which is that the Mets are terrible? What are you doing? Like, I get wanting to fire a manager, but when the season is basically over in late June, what good does it do replacing the manager?
Yeah.
If they go miss the playoffs, you just fired Mendoza for effectively no reason. This couldn't have waited until next year.
Yeah.
It's
a good point.
You could have given him a chance to turn it around, maybe. And again, I'm saying that the season is effectively over, and I would say that it is. because they're definitely not winning the division with the Braves and the Phillies playing the way that they are, and they're an outside looking in at the National League wild card by a long shot. They're behind the Reds, Nationals, Pirates, Diamondbacks, Marlins, and Cardinals before you get to a team that's in a playoff position. So, for me, yes, it's sad. Carlos Mendoza was like a cool guy, and he was fun with all the players and whatever, and they had a good relationship. And I won't take away from the situation that's going on in Venezuela and that all of that. That is great to see, and you like to see the culture working through a firing. Like, those are real relationships that have been built, and then you can tell because they extend beyond that sort of player-manager relationship. But aside from that, we're talking about, oh, woe is the Mets, there goes Mendoza. No, there needs to be a sense of urgency here. Especially from the entire Mets organization. You just fired Carlos Mendoza. That means it's go time now. That means you think you still have a chance this season. So I better see moves before the deadline. I better see a serious shakeup. You got to figure out the fielders.
You can't.
And you just mentioned, you mentioned Jared Young. He played a good game last night. I don't care. Find your replacement for Pete Alonso. Go find him.
Yeah.
You have to go find somebody to replace him. You can't just do it with platoon guys. It's not going to work. Mark Vientos may never give you another season like he gave the Mets last year or 2 years ago. They may never see that again from him. So you got to be able to move forward with it and just move on. They've moved on from Mendoza, so now move on with the rest of this roster that is underperforming like we've never seen before.
Yeah.
This was a Mets team that was supposed to make a huge bounce back. With Soto and Lindor being the key pieces of a team that kind of rises above, goes to win the East.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about they're going to spend the rest of the season trying to battle back into the third wild card. Like that, the reality of the situation is that the Mets need to get real with themselves.
I don't disagree.
They need to figure out if this is a season where they think they can win games, or they just need to tell the fans to not show up now. Not that the fans actually have been showing up that often to Mets games this year.
There's a casino. Don't tell the
but
fans not to show up.
Exactly. They have to make a decision here. And they have with the Mendoza firing. So this, I would say, yes, it's sad. Yes, we feel, people feel bad for Mendoza. I don't really feel bad for Mendoza. The team was horrible. Do you really expect your job to be safe 14 games under 500 with the second highest payroll in the league or the third?
I don't expect it at all.
I think it's the third highest.
I
think it goes Dodgers,
especially
Dodgers, Yankees, Mets, or Dodgers, Mets, Yankees. It's one of those.
Especially with it just being such a difficult week for him. I imagine it being such a difficult week for him personally. I do feel for him. I
sure
really
it is.
do.
Win more games in May.
I don't disagree, and there's arguments for why would you do it now when you could have just left him if the season's over, it doesn't matter. But then there's also arguments for you should have done this earlier. So I don't disagree, and I think that there are several routes that they could have taken that were not this route, or several future routes that they could take.
So it seems like right now this probably wasn't the best timing for a firing of Carlos Mendoza.
Well, it wasn't the best timing for Mendoza himself. I think for the Mets, it wasn't the best timing because better timing would have been a month ago.
I don't disagree with Tucker.
Okay, so I wanted to get that little just thing clear about is it maybe it was too early, too late?
No, it was definitely too late. It's too late. Like I was saying before, we're in late June. We're about to get to the All-Star break. That's effectively halfway through the season, and you waited until now to make a change at manager. You basically threw the season away.
Yeah.
If they make that change after the Mets had a god-awful opening in the month of April and in early May, then there could have been a possibility to save the season. If they got rid of Mendoza, there would have been a chance. It's too late now. It's much too late. Unless there is a complete miracle, which the Mets have been known to do this before. I really think that this was a poor decision to be made this late. It had to be made earlier, but now that it has been made, the Mets are even more directionless than they were before.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you. I do think it's funny they're getting more heated about this than I am, but I again, like I'm gonna like give Carlos Mendoza his like credit with like the extending relationships beyond just like player management. But I do still think, personally, I think that it should have been done earlier. There's also a lot of people who are very much on the fire Stearns wagon. Some guy actually brought in a poster.
Yeah, so now we'll just go up the ladder because they fired Mendoza. It's not going to work, and in a month they're going to be asking for Stearns' head. It's just the process they go through. But by the end of the season, they're going to be asking Gary Cohen to sell the team.
But the thing is, like with Stearns, I feel like a lot of
Steve Cohen.
I was gonna say
Gary. Yeah,
Gary
just calls the games. We don't have to bring Gary Cohen into this.
Like, do not bring Gary Cohen.
We do not have to bring him into this. He's an excellent play-by-play announcer.
I love him.
Steve Cohen, though. Watch out. They might come for you by the end of the year.
I feel like there's definitely a case though for I understand why fans are mad at Stearns. Like, I feel like Carlos Mendoza, like, yes, there's still a reason to be like upset and to want him to this decision to have been made earlier so that there still would have been a chance of the season. But at the same time, I feel like the Stearns argument is way more valid and way more like built up over time. And like I like there was a guy yesterday, I think it was yesterday's game, that he like came in with a Stearns sign that was like "Fire David Stearns," and they took it from him. Like, security took it from him, and then he made one out of cardboard, and then they escorted him out. So people are very passionate about this subject. And again, I feel like it is just more like built up and justified.
That's some Yankee level information control right there.
I know. I know.
So hopefully the cursed streak of the Mets turns around tonight against the Phillies. They haven't won a game since June 18th, since they beat the Phillies 6-4. But that's gonna do it for our Mets segment. We might even talk about the Mets a little more when we come back, or go right into Yankees. But we're about to send it to a break for right now. This is One on One, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to WFUV New York.
We are back with One on One. As I said before, I am Travis Hayden, joined by Emma Leonardi and Tucker Austin. We have Kurt Sippel and behind the booth as our radio producer, and joining us to talk about the Mets, we have our video producer, Grace McCarran. And is Kurt Sippel joining us too?
He might.
He might.
He might.
He's a game time decision.
Welcome to the show, Grace.
Thanks, Travis.
Anytime. So, well, how are you feeling about Mendoza's firing and all the stuff going on?
I'm so excited to hear this.
Well, first of all, we absolutely knew it was coming.
Yeah.
They have. This is the team that the Mets are. We have been for months saying, oh, at some point they could get hot. That's what happened in 2024. This is who they are, and we've known this. That, to me, is not all on Mendoza. Yes, there's been some instances where he's made some decisions maybe that he shouldn't have. Every manager, the greatest managers in history, do that. That happens. This roster is one that you are banking on them all having the best season of their careers. There's 35-year-olds on this team. There's injury-prone guys on this team. You're banking on them to be the best version of themselves when that is not what they are going to be. And you lost one of your sure things in Pete Alonso. You have Juan Soto. He got hurt. That's all your offense is gone. Francisco Lindor, half of your offense is there too. He got hurt. You can't bank on the rookie outfielders to bring all your offense. That to me is what. And the starting pitching, they had a lot of injuries there as well, and they've had some underperformances there. That to me is not on the manager. That is on the roster construction. And I think that is the general takeaway and why the feeling around this move was, besides the fact that Carlos Mendoza is clearly a great guy, like, it's just where they are. This is who they are. They make these moves that this is not going to help anything. This season is lost. We are at the halfway point of the season. Yeah. They're not going to turn it around. They've lost 7 games in a row. This is the second time this season that they've done that. This is not a team that's going to contend. And it's in a National League that's got a lot of good teams. That division is very good. This is who they are. This manager move at this point in the season was not going to change that. It just makes everybody feel lousy. The only thing that it might do, maybe, and there's no guarantee that this does happen, is maybe that gets some of the players to kind of snap out of whatever funk they've been in and fix it. But we're at the point where it doesn't matter. If they kept Mendoza, it wouldn't have made a difference anyway because it's not his fault. This is the team that they are.
I was going to say, Grace, do you think that Mendoza, what you said, it's not up to the manager, it's roster construction and the GM. Do you think that, looking at it from this perspective, that it could have been a scapegoat opportunity to put the blame on Mendoza for the team not performing when really the team wasn't built correctly at all?
If it's a scapegoat, it's the worst dressed scapegoat I have ever seen. Nobody is buying that.
I would say this is unfortunately what bad teams do. They have to blame somebody. And, Steve Cohen is not going to go and fire David Stearns, who has several $1 million and multiple years left on his contract. He's not going to fire him in the middle of the season. That's just not really how it works. But managers in baseball are considered pretty expendable, and people think that they can just get another one and it'll all be okay if the team can perform. This team can't perform. That's not where their issue is. The managing is not the issue here. Everything else is the issue. The injuries, the underperformance, the roster construction, the defensive errors are not on Mendoza. Now, maybe you could blame, why is he still putting Vientos at first base when he's made so many errors and just looks sloppy there? That maybe is Mendoza. That's the problem. That is exactly. That is David Stearns. Why didn't you get a substantial replacement for Pete Alonso? Now, Jorge Polanco, okay, that was an okay move at the time. We're not probably going to see him for a very long time because of the Achilles, and we knew this coming in that he was injury prone. This is what you do. This is what happens.
And I feel like this is like why fans are mostly the most mad at Stearns is because I feel like in post-game press conferences, I've seen Carlos Mendoza in the past take accountability for things that he could have done better, things that and also talking about even just last night, one of the reporters asked Juan Soto what are you, like, your thoughts on like the team's performance in general? And he was like, we are not performing at like critical moments, and
Right.
like some of that is the game, but some of that is also us. And so I feel like the players are taking accountability. Carlos Mendoza had been taking accountability. You know who's not taking accountability?
The upper management.
Yes.
Like,
so I feel like that's why it's like, so yeah. Anyway.
But now that they fired the manager, they made, unfortunately, again, the obvious move is to fire the manager first when things aren't going right. They've made the easy choice. Now it is all on David Stearns. There's nobody left to blame. It can't be mismanagement. You can't keep cycling through managers. This is also a tradition of this team in recent years. They cycle through managers when things get even a little dicey. They are like, okay, on to the next guy. That's not how it's supposed to go. That's not how organizations succeed, and we know that because this organization has not been succeeding a lot recently. But that was kind of it. I feel very sad for him. Obviously, we've talked about it already, but he's had a very rough week. He, I was there. What day was it, Kurt? Thursday that we were both there? Yeah. And he looked very, like, dejected. It was after the Venezuela earthquake. I feel awful for him as a person. He's a great guy, too. But I also feel bad for the state of this baseball team.
Yeah.
I mean, when at the end of the day, it is just has to come down to business and the product on the field. That I guess Steve Cohen felt like he couldn't justify it, and like seeing it anymore. And from Grace, that passionate rant, I could tell from your fandom, you can't stand seeing it either.
Yeah.
So what's gonna have to? The interim manager? Who are you looking forward? Who would you like to see them hire within the next year or so? To hopefully bring the Mets a championship in 2027.
Kurt just said Albert Pujols.
It's if there's baseball in 2027.
Well, right, there's that.
Which is another thing that that was the point I was going to make earlier between segments. Really quickly now, like I'll do it here because it came up. I think this firing and what's happening with the Mets this year is the last nail in the coffin. If there is not going to be a season next year because of a disagreement between between Major League Baseball and the owners and the Players Association, it's because of the Mets. And the reason why is because the Mets have the second highest payroll in Major League Baseball and are not translating it into success. They are giving the MLB ammunition to say why there should be a salary cap. Because they're saying, look at the Mets. They're spending way more money than we're saying we would restrict teams to spend, and they're not even winning. So clearly, it's not spend as much as you want, and you'll find success. So it's kind of giving them credence, I think, to introduce a salary cap, because they're proving to everyone that you can't just win by spending a ton of money like the Dodgers did. You have to actually construct a team properly while also spending that kind of money to bring in the best possible players. But what the MLB is going to turn around and say is be like, look, there's a huge gap between the teams that spend the most money and the least money in Major League Baseball, and it's because of market size. And in order to create parity in this league, we need to create a floor that causes teams to spend a minimum amount and also a ceiling that forces teams that have a ton of money not to spend as much because the other teams in the league can't do it. And the reason why is the reason why they will be able to do that is because look at the Mets. They spent almost as much money as the Dodgers, but they still didn't win anything. So you don't need to spend upwards of millions of or upwards of billions of dollars a year on your team because it doesn't always work out.
But then
Mets are example A.
That's an entire point of why there shouldn't be a salary cap system in general. The reason what you just said was you could spend a lot of money and then teams that are lower on the totem pole than you can outperform you. So what you just said gives the Players Association ammo for the fire that says we don't need a salary cap because even if you spend the most money, you don't always win with the most money. I think I completely disagree with that point, Tucker. I think it shows the entirely opposite of what you're trying to say. And I think that comes with the fact that there are teams like the Mets. The Yankees are in that same kind of boat where they don't always win every year, and they spend the fourth most in the MLB, third most in the MLB, probably fourth or third.
I think it's third. I'm pretty sure it goes Dodgers, Mets, Yankees.
Okay, so my point,
and then
the
Phillies.
Yankees spend the third most in the MLB. The Phillies spend the fourth most in the MLB, if that's true.
I'm pretty sure. The last time I checked.
Okay, well, either way, the only team that has won in that time has been the Dodgers. And that's just what it is. I mean, that's an argument for the Players Association. I completely disagree that that's an argument for salary cap. I think that is a little ridiculous. I don't think the Mets really play a role in the salary cap. Actually, I think if the Mets played a role in the salary cap situation, I think it would be the fact that you could just spend as much money as you want and other teams can't keep up with spending. That's a different thing. That's not about any. That has nothing to do with the fact that you have to. That has nothing to do with the fact that there is too much money going into the team and they're not winning. It has more of a fact to do that there just isn't. It just doesn't always end to results, and that's the same thing that used to happen with the Yankees. And Bobby could probably talk about that too. That the Yankees back in the day were the big spenders because no one else did that at the time. And did it always work? It happened to work a good amount of the time, but some of the times when you spent all the money, it didn't always work. So there's no argument, I think, for the Players Association to be like, not the Players Association, the owners to be like, that's salary cap, that's why we need it. The reason they want a salary cap is so they can have an excuse not to pay the players as much money as they can. Do I think that every player should be making close to $1 billion and that some teams that are smaller market can't afford that and that's fair? No, it's not fair. But baseball has been one of the only sports I think baseball is the only sport I can really think of that a salary cap has never existed in, and I don't think the players will ever have a salary cap in it because that's just how it's been set up, and that's what it is. It has nothing to do with the amount of money that is being spent. It just has to do with the fact that the owners don't want to spend as much money to construct these teams. The Mets, Yankees, and the other teams that are all in the top echelon would have to cut a combined $575 million from their payrolls. $575 million from their payrolls. I don't think that's only the Mets, and I don't think that's only the Dodgers. That's a handful of teams that have to participate in the cutting of their payrolls. So if we're gonna call on teams that are the reason that baseball might not be there, call on all of the big market teams that spend a lot of money because they're able to do that. It's not one or the other.
What was the proposed cap again? I think it was like 255, 250. I'm trying to think from the last time, and we should probably talk about that too if we're just on Major League Baseball. The social media war between the MLB and the MLBPA is just
$245 million
$245
is the team payroll maximum, and $171 million is the minimum.
Yeah, and so the numbers on that were that the entire bottom 15 teams would have to spend more, and only the top 6 teams would have to spend slightly less.
Another interesting thing is it looks like they want MLB wants a maximum. ESPN says MLB wants a maximum of 5-year deals for free agents, so no more of these 10, 15-year.
Yeah,
contracts.
that's the other thing they want to do. But again, it's another sort of method for the owners to work around having to pay their players more money, because the longer you commit a guy for on your team, the more you have to pay him. The only reason Juan Soto's deal is as big as it is because it's also a 10-year deal. Like, he would not have gotten $70 a year if he was only going to be there for like 4 years.
No, but if he's there for around 10, for the next 10 or 15, but like
they're willing to commit that large of a sum because they're buying him for the next decade.
But at the same time, are these baseball owners who are so old school and all the owners of baseball teams, are they going to want to play into these rules as well and be like, hey, I don't want to give this guy a 5-year contract. I want to give him an 8-year or maybe longer. So it's really interesting to see what could end up happening if they introduce the salary caps and everything. But for a team like the Mets, I mean, it's got to suck.
Yeah,
it's got to suck.
To kind of wrap that conversation from earlier, Kurt, I will concede. I think it was a bit it's a bit too much to blame just the Mets when it comes to next year. At the same time, I'm not sure the MLB even sees higher player contract amounts as a problem if Juan Soto doesn't get $70 million a year. Like, if his contract is a little more closer to earth, I don't know if we go the same direction. Maybe we do, but I don't think it helped.
I don't actually think that makes much of a difference. He was getting that money from any team in the MLB.
No, I know, but now the big
anywhere.
argument for players going into next
They
year
all-
is
they
that,
all made the
so this
biggest
salary cap is making it so that we can
I'll say
only
this,
get like
I'll say this.
5% of what Soto's
If
getting?
Aaron Judge went up for free agency today, Aaron Judge is getting probably around the same deal Juan Soto is. Just saying. He's probably
Sure.
getting very close to that same deal.
But I'm talking about the future.
It
Players
doesn't-
are concerned about
there
the
is-
future.
No, but I don't think you realize when we talk about how you measure importance in sports, and I've talked about this with Bobby 1,000 times when it comes to LeBron James and maybe him taking a pay cut in the future. It has nothing to do with who you are or what you are. It has everything to do with how much money you are making. You measure yourself in how good you are based off of your contract amount and the dollars and cents that it says on it. That's how big league players measure themselves. It has nothing to do with Hall of Fame, All-Star appearances, none of it. It all matters on how much you're getting paid because that shows real value, not speculative value. Nothing about that is anything true. The real value comes from that you're going to take the money that you are being given. No one's taking a pay cut. There's no reason to take a pay cut. If someone's willing to pay you the amount of money that you are going to get paid, why take a pay cut on that contract?
See,
there is no real reason to take a pay cut. Pay what you are being owed. That is just point blank period what happens.
But I
That's
think
just
contracts,
not a point of it.
the money that players makes is it not like the definition of the speculative value of a player?
No,
It's
I don't think
it's what the team thinks they're worth. The actual value of a player is like, what's his batting average? What's his OPS?
The
How many
actual
runs
value,
did he knock in last
the actual
year? How
value
many
of
doubles and home runs did he
the
hit?
actual value of a player is when you're trading their contract and it says the dollars and cents on it. Just saying, that is the most important part.
That's how much the team thinks they're worth.
I feel like it's kind of like, I feel like this is kind of more of a, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's kind of more of a conversation about like the culture, because I think that we as fans think of players in importance, and again, Kurt, it might be a little bit different, so I don't want to assume anything, but I feel like the majority of fans that I like talk to think about players' importance in terms of their stats, whereas as you're saying, Kurt, players think of their importance in terms of their salary and how much they are worth to a team.
Well, that's like the GM looking at it and the ownership looking at it, and I think that is the most important people in the contract. Don't get me wrong, fans are the most important part of sports, and there are no sports if there's no fans. But the way that someone is looking at their value and their career is by the dollars and cents that they are worth. I feel like at the end of the day, that's how an athlete measures who they are and what they're worth. And don't get me wrong, that's not a great thing to say.
Yeah.
But there's a reason why someone wants to get paid the most. There's a reason why LeBron James probably isn't going to take a pay cut, because it proves that LeBron James is still at the top of his game because he's making $120 million a year. That's an overblow. But that's what I'm saying. Sorry to cut you off.
I get what you're saying.
I feel like
So
I feel like kind of both of you are right. Sorry. I feel like kind of both of you are right in a sense. I feel like what Kurt is saying is more right, like how like realistic. That's how like players' value is like estimated. But I feel like Tucker, more of what you're saying is like how it should be thought of. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Probably, yeah. I just have a hard time like wrapping my head around like how does a team or an ownership group determine what to pay a player? It's not by like what they were previously paid. Well, although it is partially by what they were previously paid, because you're comparing it to what they made before, but at the same time you're comparing what they made before to what kind of stats they put up that year and what kind of stats they're putting up now and what they should probably be worth now.
So that was a very like interesting conversation into the value of a player. Something that brings value to teams is winning and losing, and so the transition from the Mets to a team with a looking a little bit of a better record, looking a little hotter, little bit better off right now, even though they are currently losing to the Boston Red Sox at the top of the second.
Awesome.
Let's look into the New York Yankees and how they've been doing recently.
It's really cool. I honestly forgot they were playing at 1:00 today because I was doing this, but that's great. You'd love to see that. Now being outscored 13-4 in the series. It's a 4-game set in Boston. The Yankees had success in Boston earlier this year, but it's not happening anymore. They dropped the first 2 games already. On Thursday, they made 4 errors, and I don't think a single pitcher was listed with an earned run except for the 2-run home run in the 8th. Then they scored 1 run to the Red Sox 6 on last night. Peyton Tolley have a day. He carved up the Yankees. Just total domination. The Yankees had no answer for him whatsoever last night. Retired the first 16 he faced, 1 hit over 7 scoreless for Tolley. Meanwhile, Will Warren for the Yankees got tagged for one of the first times this year. Warren went 5 2/3, 7 hits, 5 earned runs, 3 walks, no strikeouts. I would say probably his worst start by the numbers of the year, especially against a team that's been struggling as much as the Red Sox have been. So, a little bit concerning there, but the Yankees are still over 500 since Aaron Judge went to the IR after that A's series at the end of May. It's been all of June without the Yankee captain, but they're still treading water, which I suppose is all you can ask out of them anymore. But still, this is a Red Sox team that is almost in the same boat as the New York Mets, where they're kind of just almost looking towards next year if we do have a season. Like, this season has already kind of become a wash for them. A lot of injuries and a lot of question marks surrounding those injured guys for the Red Sox. But the Yankees are just not putting it together. Got to win today. Need to win today. If the Yankees don't, they're already down 1-0, like Travis said. But if they don't win today, well, you drop the series for sure, and have to avoid a 4-game sweep against the Red Sox in Boston, and that's not going to be the best way to end off the month of June.
Well, you're still
you
waiting.
only get like a week and a half in July to like figure it out and try to put some wins together before they go negative without Aaron Judge before the All-Star break.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are they just still waiting for him to get back at this point or something? That's what it really.
Honestly, like I remember talking about this with other Yankee beat reporters when it first happened, and on One On One that like he might not be back until like well after the All-Star game. He'll get voted to the All-Star game because of the fan vote and because of the insane millions of Yankees fans who will vote for Aaron Judge whether he's injured or not. But I mean, like, I didn't leave him off my ballot when I made it because why wouldn't you? But at the same time, I don't think he's going to play. It'd be cool if he went, but he's definitely not going to play. Because if he did play, he'd be like rehabbing at the All-Star game. And that's just not ideal. It's not, you don't want to have to do that. So I think he'll come back hopefully the end of July. For the Yankees' sake, the end of July. They're still in first place in the AL East, and they still have the best record in the American League by a pretty good margin, too. It's just that the Tampa Bay Rays are right at the heels. They're even with the Yankees in the loss column and 2 games back in the win column. So, I mean, all it takes is one day. Just today, if the Yankees lose this game against the Red Sox, the Rays win today, the Rays and Yankees will pull even. Because the Yankees will be a game behind in the loss column and a game in front in the win column.
So how much do these games really mean to a team like the Yankees right now, who are still, again, they're at the top of the American League?
Yes.
This little time here in July, at the end of June and July, how much do you think it's a couple of these losses? Do you think they're really going to affect the Yankees' big play picture by the end of the year?
Absolutely. This is the kind of stretch of a season that could make or break winning the division or being a wild card team, because no Aaron Judge, no Giancarlo Stanton. They are, as I mentioned, they're treading water. But if they can continue to do that, if they can come out of this playing .500 baseball, there's nothing that you can There's nothing you can say about that that's really like, oh, this is a serious problem. If they go .500 during that stretch, they should be fine, because we know the level of baseball that the Yankees are used to playing when Aaron Judge is playing every day, and especially the way Giancarlo Stanton opened this season. He was hot again, just like he was in the postseason, and really he's been like that for the postseason, for the World Series in 24, pretty much most of 2025. And he was rolling right back into it again this year. He had an excellent start, But then he goes down with the calf issue, and he's been out ever since. So he's been out longer than Aaron Judge. So now they're without two of their best home run hitters. Ben Rice has been picking up the slack a little bit, and shout out to Paul Goldschmidt, whose batting average dropped just below 300 after the game on Thursday. He was the only Yankee batter with an average over 300, and I still believe in batting average, even if I'm the last. If there is one person on the earth who still believes in batting average, it's me. If there's no one left, I'm dead. So
why do you believe in batting? Why don't people believe in batting average?
Because they've moved on to advanced stats like WRC plus, regular WAR, and then OPS has become very popular.
Yeah.
OPS is the stat that's been replacing batting average on the scoreboards inside the stadium. And it's way less. It's not as easy to visualize how often that guy actually hits the baseball now. Like, you used to go to a baseball game and there would be like all the batting averages would be listed on the scoreboard, and you could see a guy who's batting like 275 and be like, okay, that's like fairly solid. You know he's gonna like probably put a couple of good swings on it, even if he doesn't get a hit. You got a guy who's batting over 300. You can visualize he gets a hit 30% of the time. Every third at bat that you see him, he should get a hit based on that number. And usually it works out.
Yeah.
But now with OPS, you've got numbers ranging from the 500s into the 9 and over 1,000. And like, yeah, you can see it kind of the same way where it's like a guy with over 1,000 OPS, you know he's a good hitter. You don't know how often he gets a hit. You don't know how much of that OPS is actually the slugging percentage or the on-base percentage, because all you get is the combined stat. It's an easier way for casual fans to figure out who's a good hitter or not, because if there's a guy in the realm of 1,000, again, he's good. If there's a guy sitting at like 600, probably not great. But still, I've just always been a big believer in batting average, and I'm a baseball old head. I grew up with the game I grew up with has changed so much over this time, and I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't hate the change that much, but I still believe in batting average. So when I look at Paul Goldschmidt's batting average and it's over 300, I could care less about his on-base percentage. The guy is 38 years old,
Okay.
and his batting average is over 300.
Can I say something, though?
Yeah.
What good is a hit if you don't make it on base?
Well, I mean, that's like definition of a hit. You got to hit safely.
Oh, wait, you're so right.
Yeah.
wait.
If you hit a fly ball, it works against your batting average, funnily enough.
Don't worry, Emma, you're not the only one.
What OPS does
is...
I
thought that's what you were trying to say, and I was like, that doesn't sound right.
That's the definition of on-base percentage.
Yeah.
Where, like, on-base percentage adds in all the times that you walk or... I believe it counts reaching on an error, if I'm not mistaken. But batting average is much more straightforward. It's like you either get a hit or you don't, and it's divided by the number of at-bats.
That's why, because I was like, literally,
not plate
hits
appearances,
hits
which is
and
the important.
getting on base are so intertwined. That's why I was confused.
Yes,
whatever.
But it's that's why it's an advanced stat, because it literally just adds more complicated things. I think of baseball as a simple game sometimes. You get a hit or you don't. You get on base or you don't. I like on base percentage. When you add it with slugging, you lost me.
I think sometimes
you want a slugging percentage?
Things.
Look at how often. Look at his number of home runs and look at his number of doubles, and then you're good right there.
Yeah.
Like, nobody hits enough triples to actually have it impact the slugging percentage.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you where I think that we overcomplicate things sometimes. I do like seeing those advanced stats because I think it is interesting, but as you were saying, like how OPS is like replacing batting averages in ballparks, I do agree with you where we should be like more old school and simple with like the stats that we're just giving everyone. But I feel like if you're a fan and you want to know an advanced stat, it is interesting to know. So I kind of am like in the middle of it. I feel like it should be simple if you want it to be simple, but also like being able to access those advanced stats is interesting.
For me, in a perfect world, it would be like the whole like the lineup on the side of the scoreboard has everybody's batting average, and then every time somebody comes up, shows his picture, what he did in the last couple at bats, and like show all the advanced stats when it's like just highlighting them in the middle of the jumbotron.
Okay.
Where like you'll see maybe average and then also OPS and then list all of the individual stats. You could even throw WAR up there. You could throw weighted runs created plus. Like,
Yeah.
you could throw those extra advanced stats on there, but only when it's like their actual at bat. Like, I'm looking at the OPS the whole time. It's like I don't care that much. You get it, like, the big thing it helps is when guys walk a lot and don't get a lot of hits. But their on-base percentage is good because they walk a lot. This happens for Trent Grisham on the Yankees specifically, because he does get on base a lot. Doesn't hit the ball very often, at least as often as the Yankees would like, but he gets on base a lot. And that's why he's continued to be used as a leadoff guy for the Yankees, like, here and there, especially against right-handed pitching. But now Ben Rice has kind of taken over that role. But still, earlier in the year, it was because Grisham walks a lot and he had a high OPS, because when he hits the ball, he usually only hits a home run. And when he gets on base, it's usually a walk. On base percentage and slugging. Like, if you hit 20 home runs in 40 at-bats, right, that's ridiculous. Slugging would show how, like, stupidly ridiculous that is. But your batting average would still be 500, which is an insane number, but just for, like, the sake of scale, like, batting average doesn't show you how many home runs you hit, just shows you how many times you hit and then didn't get an out.
Yeah. I feel like for me, it's like, I think one of the things that is most interesting to me about baseball is how batters can, like, hold themselves back and, like, tell if a ball is going to be a ball. And so I think that in that situation, I would find the on-base percentage more interesting because it includes the walks.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's just a difference of, like, what you prefer to see.
Yeah. Either way, shout out Paul Goldschmidt. Hey, Paul Goldschmidt at 38 just started that entire tangent. But yeah, for the Yankees, it's kind of like the situation right now is just waiting for Aaron Judge to get back and trying to do their best to not go on a really bad skid while he's not there. So far, they've done that to the best of their ability. They are still over 500 since Judge left the lineup. As long as they can stay above water like that, they'll be fine.
I love the way you say over 500, like they don't have the best record in the American League.
I feel
they're
like
12-10 since Judge left the lineup.
Okay.
That's 500 baseball.
The best record in the American League is still the best record in the American League.
Yeah, but honestly, at this point, they're lucky the Rays haven't jumped them by multiple games at this point.
Okay.
They took the lead They took the lead in the division right before Judge left the lineup, but now, like, the Rays have kind of been skidding. They're lucky for that.
They are a game behind, but again, that still should be a credit to your team and your team building.
Well, it was 3. The gap has closed.
I feel like before we send it to break, like just a big point that I have is like you shouldn't and this is why I don't like the Yankees and this is why I don't like Aaron Judge, because the Yankees, I feel like, rely so much, specifically culture, but also on the field, rely so much on one specific player. You're saying right now, we just have to make sure that we don't, like, crash and burn while Aaron Judge is gone. We just have to wait for Aaron Judge to get back. That should not be the case. Baseball is a team sport. There's a lineup for a reason. It should be the case where you are looking forward to multiple people at bat. It should not just be one person. You should not just be thinking, we can't get into a skid while this one person's injured. That should not be a thing. Like, Sorry, I had to go on a rant
when
about
Juan
that
Soto was injured earlier this year, was it not the goal of the New York Mets to not go on a skid while he was gone?
I'm not saying that wasn't a goal of some people, but I'm not looking at it as, we just can't go on. I'm looking at it as, I want to see what the rest of our lineup can do. I want to see what these new rookies can do. I want to know.
But they don't need to see that or want to see that, because why would they want to? They have Aaron Judge. Like, why would you want to know what the rest of the team can do when you can just have Aaron Judge?
And this is why we have to send this to break now, because that is the singular most triggering phrase from any baseball fan, and it is why I will consistently hate the Yankees.
I don't want to see
it's
what
why
kind
I
of
will
an Anthony Volpe is going to have when Aaron Judge is there.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but I
don't care what Austin Wells could do in a vacuum.
That doesn't make you a Yankees fan. That makes you an Aaron Judge fan.
Wow,
Aaron Judge plays for the Yankees.
We're gonna end it on that one right there. We're gonna send it to break. We're gonna come back with our underdog draft. That ending was a great ending to the New York Yankees segment. We'll be right back with One on One.
Hey everyone, I'm Alex Diaz.
And I'm Mary Hannah Gallagher. And we're the host of All In, a women's sports podcast.
On All In, we discuss everything women's sports, from the WNBA, the AUSL, and NWSL.
No matter the sport, we have you covered.
You can catch us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else you get your podcasts.
All In is a production of WFUV Sports.
Hi soccer fans, Sam Giangrande here, your NYCFC beat reporter for the 2026 season, bringing all the soccer news here to WFUV. From Major League Soccer to the international stage, follow my X page at SamGGWFUV to see moments from each game and interviews with your favorite players and managers. From Yankee Stadium and Citi Field to the road at Etihad Park, follow me to see if New York City can get their second star.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back to One On One. I thought the situation might have been getting too heated in the room. The flames.
Too late. It's still heated.
We're gonna continue with this with the talk about would you rather see Aaron Judge or a bunch of no-name players. Emma, I feel like you should start this one off. So you as a fan, you don't want to just see your star players. You want to see your team develop.
I firmly believe, and I think that this is a wider sport conversation, but I think that the Yankees have played a big part in this. I think that it is so infuriating to call yourself a fan of a team and then only care about one player on the team. And it's like, Tucker, do you want to say what you said during the break where you were like, if I pose a question to Tucker during the break where I was like, so what would you do if Aaron Judge left the Yankees?
Yeah, okay, so you asked, like, based on my assessment that, like, I don't care about what the Yankees look like without Aaron Judge right now because Aaron Judge is on the team. You asked if he went somewhere else, how would that change your thoughts?
Which is a fair question.
And I would say, well, if he wasn't on the Yankees, I would care about what the team looks like without Aaron Judge because he's not on the Yankees.
Okay, but let me ask you a follow-up question. Would you find a replacement Aaron Judge to now care about? Like Aaron Judge, you could argue it was a replacement Derek Jeter for Yankees fans to only care about because I feel like Yankees fans only went from only caring about Derek Jeter to only caring about Aaron Judge. Who's next after Aaron Judge? Is it just going to be another like random like one player that like you're like, "Oh my god, this is like my lifeblood and if he's not there, I don't care what the
Isn't that obvious?
We just have to wait until he gets back."
I see your point there except for the fact that
Babe Ruth
Derek Jeter won 5 championships or helped the Yankees win 5 championships and was a big part of pretty much all of those championships. That's kind of why people became like Yankee fans began to just kind of hinge the Yankees' success on if Derek Jeter is producing is because him producing was a big part of why they won 5 World Series.
Is this a Yankees
if the Yankees won the World Series in 2024, it would make a lot more sense for me to just think, oh, like as long as like they just wait until Aaron Judge gets back, it's fine.
Emma, is this
Maybe it's a little outlandish now, but I seriously think like if you have an excellent player on your team who is breaking franchise records that have stood for close to, if not 100 years, why would you not want to see the team when he's on it? And like, I don't want to assess.
You're talking about Aaron Judge.
Yes, I don't want to assess the Yankees' ability to win games without Aaron Judge because ideally in October or in the Fall Classic they have Aaron Judge. So why? Like, I would rather assess the Yankees and how they play when Aaron Judge is in the lineup, and when Giancarlo Stanton is in the lineup. This has been my feeling since before Aaron Judge got injured because I was thinking, well, the Yankees still don't have Stanton, so like you have to imagine the lineup with Judge and Stanton in it. We did the same thing with the rotation at the start of this year. It was to start the year. It was just Max Fried, Cam Schlittler, Will Warren, and like Ryan Weathers. But then as time went on, they added Carlos Rodon back to the rotation, added Garrett Cole finally back to the rotation. But before that, we were wondering, how is this rotation going to look once the actual like stars of the rotation are back? So I don't think it's that ridiculous, and it definitely doesn't take away from being like a fan of the rest of the team when it's very obvious that Aaron Judge carries a majority of the offensive production on this Yankee team.
You literally just said that you don't care to watch the Yankees while Aaron Judge is injured. I feel like that says a lot about...
It's not that I don't care to watch. It's that
You
I
just
don't
said
care
that.
how they play. Like, I'll watch them lose to the Red Sox, but it doesn't matter because
so-
Aaron Judge is in here.
So what is watching if you don't care about how they play? That's
Watching Mets baseball.
So that's just not true. That's just not true. And I don't think that she's going to hop on.
All right,
again 'cause
watching
it would
A's
get
baseball
It
then.
would get too heated.
2-0 Red Sox.
I don't know.
by the way.
Actually, Marlins baseball.
But I want to know, you had a question.
Yeah, no. So, but you said, but I kept having to interrupt you. I'm so sorry about that, by the way. But Emma, the point I felt like you were trying to make is, it's like, is it just, is it the guy or is it the team? I feel like that is something that has existed in New York sports entirely.
To be clear, I care about how they play on a day-to-day basis, but with the long-term idea of what position will they have put themselves in once Aaron Judge comes back. Will they be in the lead of the division? Will they be behind the Rays? Will they be out of a wild card spot? If it is a big enough skid, which hasn't happened yet, if they do go on a skid into the All-Star break and a little bit after, they could find themselves like digging out of a hole when Aaron Judge comes back to the lineup, which is the last thing you want when you're bringing a star player back into a lineup.
Yeah,
you
but
want him to be
but
able
you
to
should-
reacclimate with like a comfortable gap between you and anybody trying to chase you. Ideally, the Yankees kept that 3-game gap with the Rays up until Judge comes back. It was a tall order, but
But
still.
you should not just be concerned about breaking even until this one player gets back. You should be like, oh my God, are all these other guys gonna step up and like fill the
no,
energy
you
and,
just
like-
know they're not because Aaron Judge is the captain.
That might just be you being a negative
Aaron Judge is the
Nancy.
captain. If you're missing a captain of a team, the team is bound to perform worse.
But also,
all I'm
I
saying
don't
is,
disagree
as
with
long as
that.
they avoid
Don't
a
disagree with
serious
that.
losing streak, I'm only saying I want them to
I just,
fly
like-
at 500 because that's all they need to do. It's like the
Okay.
USA against Turkey. They didn't need
But
to play
why
that
wouldn't you
game.
want more?
Of course you want more. I'm just not going to ask him for it.
You don't want the You want to keep the expectations low.
Because
low,
expectations are going to be stupidly high when he comes back.
And
so we're giving him a break.
Let me make this very clear to the viewers because I feel like I don't know if this is going to come up in this conversation because I feel like you guys know me enough to know my stance on this, but it might be like people might be like, oh Emma, so you're hating on like everybody being like a Yankees fan, but like saying that they're a Yankees fan,
You're
but they're only
Aaron
a fan of Aaron Judge
fan people,
but
which honestly,
yeah,
I
don't
do
even
agree
talk
with
to me
you
about that.
there.
Don't even talk to me. About
I just don't like being called an Aaron Judge fanboy.
Then don't act
because
like
I'm waiting,
one.
because I'm waiting for our best player to come back from injury.
Okay, but
if Alex Ovechkin, when Ovechkin
no,
was
'cause
down,
this is what I was
you're
gonna
waiting
bring
for
up.
him to come back.
No, I'm not.
Because he's old.
No, because I like the rest of my team actually. Because I actually happen to be a fan of the Caps.
You
Like,
you spend 4 years watching Anthony Volpe try to play shortstop and tell me you want to watch him play every day.
okay, then like that, but that's just one player. You can't find one other player where you're like, oh my God, like I love watching him.
I like Paul Goldschmidt. Paul Goldschmidt puts a smile on my
Okay,
face every day.
fine.
Is he gonna hit 30 home runs the rest of the season? No. He's not Aaron Judge. He's Paul Goldschmidt. Neither is Ben Rice. Ben Rice isn't Aaron Judge. Neither is Stanton. He's not in either, but if he was here, I would still be waiting for Judge because none of these guys are on the same level as Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge is in a category all on his own. He's been doing things that haven't been done since the time of Babe Ruth. It's unbelievable the type of player that Aaron Judge is, and the impact that he has in the clubhouse, on the bench, when he's playing is second to absolutely none.
All right.
Do the Yankees have a good team? Yes. Is Aaron Judge the biggest component of it? Absolutely. And do they have
Hate
to wait
that.
until he comes back? Yes.
Hate that.
So
But
the
we have to move
Yankees,
on.
the Yankees do have Aaron Judge. He is on the sidelines right now, but again, they are still in first place.
It's
in the
2-0
National
Red
League.
Sox.
It is 2-0 Red
Thank
Sox.
God. I hate Boston, but that put a smile on my face.
I think it is time to wrap up our segment on the Yankees.
Let's try and get this draft real quick.
And
Yeah.
we
Before
do
we
have it. We do have a draft to end our show, which is I'm excited for, and that is going to be the greatest underdog stories in sports.
So how are we
Draft.
going order? Are we doing rock paper scissors?
You can just choose the order. I think you're a host. We can go in a circle.
I was gonna say
counterclockwise.
Are Kurt and Grace going to be joining our draft today?
I'm
no,
not
they
sure.
are not.
I don't think
no,
so.
it doesn't look like it. So it's going to be the three of us. You know what? Ladies first. We could start off with Emma, and we could go Tucker, and then myself, and then we could sneak it.
Easy.
Oh, okay. So you go twice and then back
you
the
know
other
what?
way.
You know what? Then let's. Okay, guess what? Then you know what? Fine. I'll start it off. Emma, Tucker, me, and then we won't snake it. We'll go. Boom.
Just around the horn.
Okay,
I like
perfect.
that.
Miracle.
Okay.
Done. Easy. First. Miracle. Done.
Miracle on ice.
You had to let her go first.
That's why I wanted to go first. I mean,
you guys
okay.
are gonna be fighting for
to
that
be
one,
fair,
weren't you?
to be fair, I was gonna pick something heinous if you picked that as a hate pick. So I pick Miracle to go first.
I had to come up with a third one now.
That was your
okay.
third?
Well, no, that was my first one,
Okay,
but I
good.
got to come up with a new third.
Okay.
My first one is going to be the Giants at Super Bowl 42 when they beat the
Okay.
undefeated Patriots
Ooh,
and
that's a
blocked
good
the
one.
first full undefeated season since the Dolphins.
Yeah, no, it's 18-0, or what was it? Was it 8? No.
They were 17-0.
19-0.
Or no, yeah, you're right. They were going for 19.
They were going on 19-0. Did not
18
happen.
and 1.
18-1.
Wow.
Good.
Shout out Eli Manning.
Wow.
That was amazing to watch.
You're gonna hate my next pick.
My pick, I gotta have it. We're talking about underdog stories. Justin Gaethje in front of the White House every time.
Okay.
Grace gave you this one, didn't she? I think I know what your next pick is going to be, and I think Grace mentioned it yesterday when we did staff.
I don't think.
But yeah, you said Gaethje at the White House.
Gaethje at the White House needs to be on there. I mean,
Okay.
he came in as such a
Okay.
huge underdog. Like, nobody thought he was gonna win that fight.
Okay.
Comes in, batters Taporia, and now I just need that pick. And Emma,
Okay, I'm gonna go only to rage bait. This is a rage bait pick. The 1994-95 New Jersey Devils.
Oh, okay. That's not
Just a rage pick. I
that's
thought you
not
were gonna be
terrible.
more mad about that.
Why would I be mad?
Because I honestly thought you were gonna pick that.
Well, I didn't. I actually. I think I tried to stay away from hockey after the Miracle pick originally, but again, now after you pick that one, I'm high and dry. So
Yeah.
my second one in that case was originally going to be my third. I was going to save it for my third because I didn't think anyone would come up with this. But I'm going to go with 2022 Rich Strike at the Kentucky Derby. The longest odds, 80-1. This horse came back and won at Kentucky. And it was one of the greatest calls I think I have ever heard from a play-by-play announcer was that Rich Strike from the back. Kurt.
Shout out Larry Comas. I interviewed him. He's awesome.
Shout out to Larry, man. What a call.
Seabiscuit, I was telling Grace in the back. I think Seabiscuit is a better story.
Does that count as an underdog?
Seabiscuit was a $10,000 claims horse, and then won a Triple Crown, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, he did. He won
I
the
think
whole all of them?
Seabiscuit, hold on. Seabiscuit winnings. Give me 1 second. Seabiscuit won a total of $437,000 during its race career. I'm trying to find where it won. Come back to me.
All right.
Ooh.
Kurt is
so
kind of joined.
So I got the number 2 pick.
Yeah.
Or I have my number 2 pick right here. So we're gonna be. I've had a couple options in mind, but I'm gonna go UFC 193. November 2015, the head kick heard around the world. Holly Holm knocking out Ronda Rousey. Gonna put that at number 2. Ronda Rousey was, if you saw that woman at the height of her power, she was borderline untouchable. I think, in my opinion, my favorite figure, and I think women's sports history, what she was doing was just godly at the time, and seeing her get knocked out by Holly Holm, I gotta put that in my list.
I have one thing quickly, and then I'll let you guys go right back. Seabiscuit did not win the Triple Crown. But it was a $2,500 claims horse that no one wanted to buy. And then right after that, it won a bunch of staked races, as well as beating War Admiral in the Palinko, I can't pronounce it, special, which War Admiral is one of the legendary horses that won the Triple Crown. So it's a pretty big wins against this horse that was very good. That's just my 2 cents.
Wow. Okay, wait. So how many are we doing 3 or 4?
I think 3. 3 will probably get us there.
Oh God, that's
one more.
that's so bad because I actually
Come
I
on,
feel
one more.
Okay, can I say 2 even though I'm picking 1?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go with the 1969 New York Mets, and that's just for personal reasons. And I have to do that after the entire show of today. But
Mets fans in the back. That's the Miracle Mets.
The Miracle Mets.
No, and the no,
It was the
wasn't
Miracle Mets.
Was it?
Yes.
Okay, so then 86 was the Amazing Mets? That was the other one? Yeah.
But honorable mention to the biggest Kentucky Derby underdog, apparently.
Oh, don't say it. Who was it?
Donerail?
Yeah, there you go.
In 1913 at staggering 91-1
Wow,
odds.
okay,
I
that's
literally
cool.
didn't
Fine.
I didn't know about this.
Yeah, just upstage my feel good story about Rich Strike. That's fine. Yeah. When I looked up Rich Strike was off the top of my head, and I looked him up to be sure of what year it was, and then it said he was the second longest odds ever.
Yeah.
And I was like, well,
but
either way, Rich Strike is
13?
Yeah.
I
they
thought
they don't have Wilt's 100-point game. They do not have footage for that.
Well, Tucker, you got to
guarantee
recognize at that time horse racing was a lot bigger than basketball was. Basketball didn't even exist yet. One.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And two, I thought Rich Strike was not the top horse at that time, but I wasn't sure.
No, Rich Strike was the longest odds in that race.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But Donerail is the biggest underdog to ever win the Kentucky Derby. 91-1 odds. His win returned an astonishing $184.90 for a $2 wager. That's crazy.
In 1913.
In 1913. Sorry, I just had to pull up because
So that was probably
like, Ow.
If you can do quick math at home, that's something
Quick
X the bet.
Yeah, somebody do quick math.
I'm gonna go with my third one. I pulled it off the top of my head at the last second here. And it actually stings me a little bit to use this one, but I think it's definitely valid. I'm gonna go with Venezuela over the United States at the 2026 World Baseball Classic. That's maybe not an all-time great underdog story, but I think it's still a recent and very shocking underdog story. Going up against the USA World Baseball Classic, that is our sport.
Yeah.
If anything is America's to own and dominate on the international stage, it should be baseball. Yes, the Japanese are very good at baseball also and have kind of had our number in the past, but going into a final against Venezuela, not facing Japan, was a shock in the first place, and also had the USA going in with all kinds of expectations to pretty much win easily, but fell short at the doorstep, and Venezuela got it done.
Yeah.
And especially considering the geopolitical situation going on between the United States and Venezuela at the same time, for Venezuela to get that win, I think they were underdogs.
No, I definitely think
underdogs in more than one field.
No, I think that's a good pick, honestly.
So I got one more, the last pick of this draft. It's gonna go weird. We got another fight here. It's a weird one. 1990, February 11th, 1990. Mike Tyson versus Buster Douglas. That's gonna be my pick.
I saw that because I was looking up to find the years for mine, and I saw that.
So with that fight, he was a 40. Mike Tyson was a 40-1 favorite. 40 to 1. Those were the odds on it. The fight, the sports books wouldn't take bets on it because of the outcome, because they thought the outcome was going to be for certain, and the fight couldn't take place in the U.S. They couldn't sanction the fight to take place in the U.S., so they had to go to Tokyo because the U.S. government legally would not let Buster Douglas fight Mike Tyson. So if we want to talk about there being an underdog,
crazy.
he won, and the country wouldn't even sanction the fight because they didn't believe the country, the United States, wouldn't sanction the fight because they didn't think he was going to win. So Mike Tyson and Buster Douglas has to be up there.
That's pretty good. I like that.
Yeah.
Wait, was anyone gonna pick the Mets in the second round?
I was thinking of the Knicks, but
I don't think the Knicks from this year.
Yeah.
No, the Mets. The Mets.
The Mets from when?
When I picked when I said the third one where I was like the 1969 Mets.
Oh.
Was anyone gonna pick that in the second round?
I don't think so.
Okay, great, because I'm changing it from the New Jersey Devils to the Mets, and then Donerail is my third.
Okay, so we're just leaving the Devils out. That's fine.
That was mostly just to
every time the
rage
Devils
bait
are good,
and
they're not
then,
underdogs.
Yeah.
You notice how every year the Devils wind up in the top 5 in Stanley Cup odds predictions, and then by the end of the season they're either missing the playoffs or a first round exit? It's funny how that works.
Right.
Tucker did not seem too happy to end one-on-one on that day. This has been one of my favorite episodes I've done hosting here so far. Kurt Sipple from behind the glass did an amazing job today. Obviously, Grace McCarron on the graphics, also great insight for when we had our little Mets conversation earlier, and Kurt is also popping in with his amazing insights as well.
Amazing.
Bobby Traffordini is our sports director at WFUV Sports. One-on-one would not be possible without him. Today, I was joined by Emma Leonardi at the B host position, did an awesome job, and our fearless leader, Tucker Austin, came and joined us today and talked about Yankees. I'm Travis Hayden, and this has been One on One, New York's longest calling sports call-in show, and we'll see you next week.